So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week number 9 of the Caster's Curse. I am your host, Ryan, aka Ryan Fools, and I'm joined by an old face and a couple brand new faces. I have Guy Blaze, who's been with us a few times, and I have Benson, and we have Kenny. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Ben, you're one of the casters, so you Caster Curse, right? It falls under the proper thing there. And Kenny, I think you're our second player to actually ever be on. Fran was on 1 week, so I think you're our second active player on. So
Kenny's going to be retiring soon. He'll probably be a caster next year. So
I feel like that's the only story they wanted to tell during the TBS thing. It's like, yeah, Kenny's on the way out. He's not really gonna be here.
He's a bad dude. He'll be gone soon.
Here, take my
You just can't really hit a shot.
I want to make an epic comeback. Yeah.
even on the, I remember on like the playtest episode, they're talking to you like, oh, like Vic, have you been to a playtest before? Like, oh, Kenny, you've been to a bunch, and Kenny's like, yeah, well, things keep going this way. It might be my last one. I was like, God damn. You can see like
realistic with yourself.
Yeah, like both Node and Otto like tensed up for a second, like they didn't know to respond to that. Like, but guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, it's a super exciting week. We're getting more and more Gears 5 info by the second. It feels like obviously E-League is this weekend. That's super exciting. After that is they call it the tech test. I guess everyone's calling it the beta, but the tech test coming up very soon. So that's also really exciting. So I figured before we all leave for Atlanta, obviously, let's try our best to get together and talk. And I think one cool part about this is that so you guys know in the chat, like a lot of this info is actually new to Ben as well. So I wanted Ben on here because a couple of these questions I think that he can. I want to hear his input on it. Just obviously very experienced in other games. Certain elements of certain games are kind of like Call of Duty. Obviously, I have a ton of experience in Call of Duty, so that was one thing I definitely wanted to bring you on for. But I think the chat's gonna enjoy the fact that like you get to react to this kind of as we go, and so I think that's gonna be super exciting.
I'm excited because I've tried to stem away from as much stuff as possible. Probably because I wanted to learn as much from players at E-League. And then obviously you said, hey, we're doing this show. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And you're like, oh, everything. I was like, perfect. I'm going to react live. Screw it. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly. Hopefully more good than ugly. Yeah. But should be fun. I'm excited. I'm super excited for this whole show and obviously the week with E-League.
Yeah, I mean, we have like both ends of the spectrum right now. Obviously, like you're pretty like new to all this stuff. Meanwhile, like we have Kenny on here who literally, I mean, you saw him on TV playing the game, right? So like he probably knows the most out of like the whole player base right now. So obviously, it'd be nice, Kenny, for you to clarify a lot of the shit because I was telling these guys like there's stuff right now that like even I'm super hazy on. Like I don't even fully understand everything I saw on the TV screen earlier, and so hopefully you can kind of fill in the gaps there. So thanks for joining on such short notice.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do my best to answer without getting destroyed by Microsoft.
Yo, right? I help you follow some of that sword if you go down.
Yeah, well, I think I wasn't really sure how to like order these topics, right, and how to order some of the stuff. I tried to kind of order it based a little bit on how the show kind of, I guess ordered it themselves, right? The things they talked about first. And the first thing they did talk about, which is super interesting to me because it's one thing that like we always talk about the phrase of like playing stupid, like valuing your life. And this was an attempt, by the team at Coalition to give us a situation where people have to value their life more. And so I feel like we'll start off every time by us explaining it to Ben, I guess, because this is all new and this is, you get to kind of react to it. Now in Escalation going forward, you have 5 respawns per player per half. And what that means is when you die, you get to choose whether or not you want to respawn. And Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong here, you get to do that 5 times in each half. And you can choose if you want to do it or not do it. Like, am I feeling that right, Kenny?
You have the entire choice, and then there's the second part of it I think you're about to say.
I don't know what the second part is. Yeah, what's the second part?
So the second part of that is you have 5 respawns and a half, and then in between each round you gain a respawn. So if you have 5 respawns in the first round, you die twice. You're at 3. One from round 1 to round 2, you now get 1 respawn.
So I looked at that as like you get to hit the respawn button 5 times. That's the way I like in my own mind because like you technically, of course, you get a new one because like the round starts. So I looked at it as if like you get to click the button 5 times. Is that kind of a better way to like simplify it? No, that's my question. Is that Kenny? Is that like simplified version of it?
You get to press the button 5 times.
Yeah, and a half.
No, you can press it more. You can press it more.
The max lives you can have in a half is 11.
Okay, I like that too. I like that too.
Is it
Don't
11
worry,
or
Ryan.
10? It's
Don't
1 or
worry,
2.
Ryan. This is going to be my best friend for casting next year, apparently. So each team has 5 lives, right? 5 times, so 5 Yeah, there's 5 players, so times 5. Okay, so that's 25. But then there's 5, so minus like 5.
Damn, it
Are you
was
serious?
55.
Wait, what kind of algebraic equation you doing over there?
Well, that's basically what we're
Carry
going to
the
do.
X. Carry the...
Wait. So hold on. Wait. So just to make sure I understand that correctly before I digest that. In each half of escalation, each player has 5 lives.
5 respawns.
5
to
respawns.
start the game.
Yep.
To start the half.
So here's my thing, straight off the bat. That's so hard to explain.
Well, so one thing I was gonna get at, Ben, and like the reason, like you and I spoke about this in the past, like just like escalation in terms of a viewer. Once towards the end, I want like everyone's like all in opinion, like on everything we're gonna talk about, because like one of the biggest takeaways I had of Escalation 2. I will call it Escalation 2.0. The biggest takeaway I had, and I like a lot of these changes, but like now myself, I'm a part of the talent team now, right? I'm a part of explaining things to viewers now, and like what I will say is like things got like 40 levels deeper. Right, which is, I mean, again, for competitive players, it's fantastic, right? That's more meta, more strategy, the game's deeper. But
that's not how you grow.
But I look at the flip side and I say, okay, like now it's really, really hard to explain. But I feel like we should kind of get there at the end. I want to kind of break it down piece by piece and talk about the effects of each of these things. So like, okay, so now we all understand. Like I like what Blaze said the best. Actually, you have a maximum of 11 lives per half. That's the best way to put it. Like you have a maximum, right?
55 total per team on each half.
Right, like you get your 6.
It's possible though, like that you're on the same alive throughout the entire half and you never respawn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so like, it could be 1 life.
Yeah, that's a max, but like the odds of like I think any team getting 55 kills in a half would be kind of wild.
How many rounds are there in a half now? Is it the same?
It's the exact same.
It's the same. It's the same, but it's better to say that each player has a maximum of 11 lives if we do it that way. But my thing is that yeah, you can choose to. You can explain that off the rip, but the win conditions are still the same outside of the lives. Trip cap domination, you win off points, or if you wipe your opponent. That's 3 win conditions to win the round. Right. Yes.
That's also new, which is one of our other topics also now. Yeah, like I mean that's what I have like a third one, but like if you 5 wipe, the round's over. So that actually speeds things up a little bit, but
unless I respawn, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but you have to choose if you want to waste that or not. Because if you got 4 dead and you respawn, you just threw away a life.
Your respawns are they're like resources now. You have to like look at them as like a resource now, and so like
you won't be just respawning if you do. Your team will be playing.
So to me that's just like I'm just gonna say it. That's a cop out. That's a cop out.
In what way?
It should either be you're gonna respawn and it's a respawn game mode, or it's a 1 life game mode. Don't give a user a choice. Like why is there a middle ground there? Like that's just added so much more. Like escalation already, I know you want to talk about this at the end, but people need to realize is an incredibly hard to explain to a new viewer, as is escalation 1.0. Now you're adding more layers to it. It doesn't necessarily always mean it's going to be more competitive. It's just making it more complex, and complex doesn't mean competitive. It just means
it does means entertaining.
That's not that
No, I get what you're saying, Ben. Like
that's not entertainment. Entertainment. You'd have more entertainment if someone couldn't respawn. That's more entertaining. It like as opposed to saying, oh well, Kenny's going to be in a 1v4. Well, it looks like 3 of his teammates are up to revive or respawn this round. They're not going to have their 3 respawns. Like that's 3 of 11 or whatever the math is going to be. That's just. I really dislike that.
So we haven't seen spectator mode. I'm wondering. I mean, how much spec mode can help that? Because Kenny, there's a on the HUD. There's like a symbol that tells you how many respawns you have, right?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember. I don't think so.
I think there is. I want to say that.
When you pull up the scoreboard, it shows everybody's respawns. It's like its own column on the scoreboard.
Like deaths, right?
Yeah, kind of like deaths, but it's the first one you see. Like you see your name, like Kenny Bounce, right to the right of it says you can respawn this many times.
Also, let's take into account, something that's very major is that our HUD and our spectator mode for Gears 4 wasn't good at all. Okay, it was a lot of things that we had to do on a production end to like make that look nice, based off all these other esports having their HUDs kind of built into the game for their spectator. So we don't know what Gears 5 spectator is going to look like. That's going to change what people's viewing experience is like as well, which is going to make a bigger difference. But what I did say about adding the other stuff, just to kind of play devil's advocate on your point too as well, Ben, is that escalation having a little bit more depth into it and having an extra win condition actually will make it more exciting and change the pace of the game to make it where that escalation 2.0 can be way better to watch than 1.
So I disagree. I think the reason you think it's going to be more exciting is because you have lived and breathed Gears of War for 10, 15 years. That's in your blood, right? So you see it as a really exciting evolution, which it is an exciting evolution, and you should feel happy that there's all these extra ways of getting you excited. But now, please try and explain Escalation 2.0 just with that little bit of information to Billy, who lives down the road.
Well, see,
I 100%. I explain it right now.
No, you can't. Escalation 1.0 was a 30-second script at the start of every Escalation match. Now you're adding more win conditions. You're adding more stipulations. You're adding more. Everything is more. That doesn't make it better.
First to 7 rounds. How do you win a round? Boom. Then you just talk about the game type later on. You got rounds to talk about the game type. How you win a round and how many rounds you need to win. Win 7 rounds.
Yeah, but I also don't like. I'm a bet on this. I don't like the idea of having to explain that over the course of many rounds, right? Because a bunch of things can happen in the middle of rounds that could then all of a sudden, let's say you explain that first pillar of it to the viewer, and then the game starts, and then something happens where and they're just wondering, okay, wait, hold on, these hills are in play now, and then these hills do this, and these hills do that.
Exactly right.
So again, that's where I'm at. So,
but also consider it like this: what about a new viewer that comes? Okay, let's compare it. Let's compare. I was gonna say, I was thinking of the counterpart to compare it to, and for game types that long, it's only like Dota League, Counter-Strike, Dota League, Counter-Strike. But how does League of Legends and Dota overcome this issue? Because they're very complex, long games as well. Okay.
I don't think League and Dota do. That's the thing. They're just 2 of the most played games in the world. So people.
They have a strong audience.
They do.
Yeah, but they learn by playing.
Well, that's what Gears would turn into. You already have to learn a lot with Gears. It's a big barrier to entry. For me with it, honestly, Ben, I agree with you, and I think it's gonna be difficult. And power to you guys. God bless. Hope you guys figure it out. But explaining it is not gonna be easy. But it's gonna be similar to me, to League. It's not easy to explain.
But here's
what the hell, and
you gotta go. With League. How do you win a game? How do you guys play League, right?
Yeah.
How do you win a game of League?
You say they gotta take the turret.
You destroy the
You destroy the Nexus.
All right. So how'd you win a game of Gears of War 5?
You gotta
kill the other people.
No.
Okay, no, yeah, no, Blaze is right.
You have to win 7 rounds in escalation. That's how you win.
Okay.
Now you want to talk about turrets?
Right, wait, no. But how'd you win a round? Because now all of a sudden there's rounds. So in reality, wait, hold on. In reality, sack off League and sack off Dota as comparisons because they're 2 completely different genres of game.
Yeah.
So let's compare. Wait. So let's compare it to a game with rounds. Counter-Strike, right? Counter-Strike has rounds. That's what it's most comparable to, right? How'd you win a game of Counter-Strike? Exactly the same as what you said, right? First to X amount of.
First to what? 16 rounds?
Right. Whatever it is.
Okay. First to rounds. Okay. But CS first to rounds. Okay. Then you go to say how you win a round. Then you have to say if you're the attacking team. You win a round by planting the bomb or eliminating your opposing team. Okay? And then if you plant the bomb has to defuse. If you're the defending team, all right, you win a round by eliminating your opponent or defending or defusing a bomb that's planted. That's still 4 things that I just said for attacking and
or stopping them from planting the bomb.
Yeah, or stopping them, right? So but now you go Gears and then you go rounds. Then you say how you win a round. Then you say first to 210, trip, cap, or wipe your opponent, and that's it. Well, but then you can go into pistol rounds, how the economy works, why some teams got guns and don't, and then you can do the same thing for Gears, though.
Yeah, but that's not my point. You can go in depth with weapon placement. You can go in.
I'll say we haven't even got to weapon placements yet. Wait till we haven't got there yet.
What I'm trying to make you understand is when you
you didn't make me understand though. So
I'm trying, guy. If you listen, I'm gonna try and help you understand from the casual's point of view.
Okay.
It's even harder to compare it to Counter-Strike because everyone understands search and destroy. That's just a game. That's essentially what CS is. You can beat around the bush.
We still talk about the new viewer though.
Right, but it is again a game mode that most kids played I hate to say it, I hate to be that guy, but they played COD right when they were young. Search and Destroy, one of the most played playlist games. Even so though,
is too.
actually that's not true. It's TDM. It's TDM and Search and Destroy, but that's a story for a different day. Dom,
across like multiple games.
Yeah. And like the other thing to consider as well is like it's a console esport, right? Like look at Halo. What made Halo so good at the time was its simplicity. Team Slayer, kill the other team, kill them 50 times before they kill you 50 times. You win. That's how you win a game of Slayer. Like that, it's TDM. There's nothing fancy about that. Even if it was Dom, even if it was domination though, like Dom was so simple, like to explain. I just feel like Escalation is now trying to be essentially a search and destroy hybrid with domination, which I don't think it should be. Either go like full on execution, no respawn, or keep it the way it was.
So here's the logic behind it. I'll just so we get it out there and so the viewers know too. The logic behind why, from my understanding, the logic behind why this is the way it is because one of the biggest complaints, and which is very true about Gears of War 4, is that you can play very careless and it has no consequence. It really doesn't. I mean, you might die and your team might get trip capture, but if you make a stupid play, even on later rounds, you can still spawn back up and get back in the game. You spawn back up with a smoke too. That could become influential in a mid-round push. I mean, there really isn't that much risk necessarily behind playing like an idiot, playing stupid, throwing your life away, not valuing your life, being careless, being caught out of position, all these different things. And so this was put into place, again, from my understanding, to combat the idea that like you now have to put X amount of thought now into each life. You have to actually think about what you do a little more than you currently do in Gears of War 4, and that was the current. I mean, again, these things can always change. There's still a beta coming up. Like that is the current attempt at making the players think about their moves before they make them. That's probably the simplest way to say it.
Why not just make it non-respawn? At that point, then you are thinking about it. And if you really wanted to, you just get rid of the 3 hills and you just put one neutral objective in the middle of the map. Cap the objective, you win the round. You kill the other team, you win the round.
So I'm actually personally I've been advocating a middle, I don't even call it like a single objective game type myself too, like a neutral flag, neutral bomb, neutral anything in the middle. I agree with that, but I will also say, as like I said, the one thing that we do have on our side is the 10, 12 years of Gears experience. Like execution, like I love it, but also highly flawed. So it would have to be a modified, and again we talk about this too on the show all the time. There can totally be a modified execution that could totally work. So like I'm totally with that. But execution in its current state, I still don't, and I'm an OG too. Like I don't think it can actually work for $1 million, right? I think we've seen time and time again how people are gonna fucking play it when there's 10K on the line, let alone $1 million, right? So again, just to make sure I set the scene of why we are having this combo in the first place.
So there's another good point from Hoop Scoop in the chat right there. Like, imagine playing that ranked online.
Well, and Ben, we'll get into the weapon placements next. The weapon placements too.
Well, even before we get to that, if we're a team, right? If we're a team of 4, we're playing, online. I just choose to respawn every round.
And this dickhead just throws us all the way first round. Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I'm not. 100%. That shit's gonna happen, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. I just raged on my stream about like about my rank experience and how that I don't see how it's ever gonna change just because on console you don't have comms. You don't have comms, and you will never be able to have comms. Also because Xbox Xbox game chat,
party chat.
Xbox game chat is so toxic, and nobody has mics, and like nobody uses it. And then you can't get people in Discord. I wish, and I know it's probably not in the game, but I was saying that we needed to add another level to TACCOM where you hit your TACCOM and then you can press another button because TACCOM does nothing. You can press other buttons and it does nothing. Like press your D-pad, push A, defend the hill, something. But we need a way to communicate with our teammates. It's not ranked escalation is going to always be bad, but at least you can vote as individually on what weapons you want. So that's going to be able to give it some structure.
Is it Rainbow that does that really well, or is it? I remember reading something about a game came out and it's like its commands to teammates was really, really cool.
Fortnite added some.
Was it Fortnite? I can't remember what it was, but it was a game that came out and everyone was complimenting just how like good it was to be able to communicate with your teammates without actually saying. It might have been Apex actually. I think it might be Apex. Apex might have been that one.
Apex, yeah, it probably was.
Like the communication without communicating.
Yeah, Apex ping system for even canceling pings across the board is super nice.
Yeah, I mean we have a marking system, but we don't have any system for pinging. But I mean at the same
that
time though,
needs to be, like stepped up.
But even imagine trying to like I don't know how you'd even make the pinging thing work on Gears in the first place. I guess I can't really think of like what you would ping. Like do you ping the hill? I guess maybe ping a weapon, but I don't know.
Oh, just ping. Shit, it don't
Pushing
matter.
you,
Pings are for attention. That's what it is.
Well, the marking system does that. I mean, the marking system is essentially a ping system on an enemy. It's the enemy ping.
Nah, but like the only reason why I would say I like ping is because I'm always trying to direct teammates in slower situations to like watch stuff and talk to them in game, and it just will help. You know, sometimes people do communicate with each other just by like looking at their characters. You know what I'm saying? And you just can kind of tell how somebody's gonna play. But anything to just even help that experience some more, because nobody's talking to each other. You know?
I agree with that.
Because I should not have to come to game chat. Even though I don't mind coming to game chat and being the best leader ever, but that's, a toxic situation.
Speaking from my perspective, I'll never go to game chat. Like, I actually mute the people who are in game chat. I'm like,
but see, the thing is, Overwatch and like Fortnite and some of those games, I don't mind going to game chat because it's easier on PC to do push to talk,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess
that's the big thing.
I guess like just in general, like Kenny, like you physically played it. Like, I mean, what was sort of like again, really really small sample size, but what was sort of like the ratio that sort of seemed to make the most sense for people, or like was it trying to like conserve them as much as possible, or did you ever find a situation where like you tried to hold your life so much by the time like you got to the last round you had too many and you cost your team rounds? Like what was sort of like the maybe the pacing of how people were using their lives?
So I ran out of respawns on the first half. Like I was out.
Let's go,
like,
Kenny.
New Yorker.
I was playing it like it was Gears 4, and this is something that people are gonna have to. And they showed it, and the first thing, like I didn't think about it this way, but the whole picture they're creating on Gears 5, like the game is gonna be slowed down a pretty good amount. Like you can't play. I got on there playing like it was Gears 4. I was out of respawns. The second half, I was an all-star. The first half, I was horrible. And like, I felt like you just need to know the time and when to execute. The timing on Gears 5 to me is the most important thing, and it has to do with your respawns. It has to do with like the enemy's position, their respawns, like just what advantage you could take. And I don't know, my overall thing is like you have to think about your respawns more than anything else. The picture they created is definitely a slower game.
Seems you're talking about respawn still. Is the respawn timer still a thing?
Yeah.
Like
yes. It's reverse. It's reverse escalation. So it starts at 16 seconds on the first round, and it goes down to I think.
Wait,
10
really?
seconds.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about that in the show. I don't think.
They did.
What?
They showed it in the YouTube video.
So wait, they reversed
it in the YouTube.
They reversed it.
Yo,
That's
Noonie.
why I'm saying it.
So they made later rounds with more things on the map quicker.
Right, exactly. So if you save your respawns till later on, in 10 seconds you can spawn up and go fly at whoever you want over and over and over again.
I literally watched that today. By the way, Noonie, thank you so much for the sub, man. Appreciate it. Free burger. Want to make sure I get that in there. But I didn't even notice on the show. I literally watched the episode again today, and I still didn't catch the timers going the other way.
Yeah.
So just again to clarify,
it's in there.
In the later rounds, when there's a lot of weapons on the map, the respawn delay is at its lowest.
Correct.
So you can play like a headless chicken, essentially.
If you got spawned.
To an extent, you have to.
If you save your lives.
Yep.
How many rounds?
You're now like on your 6th or 7th rounds in.
I'm saying last round.
So round 13.
Entire map, round 13. If I've saved my lives, I can fly at you, force. You could first blood me, but it wouldn't matter because I'll fly right back at you in 10 seconds.
Yep.
Interesting. Did they say why they changed to that?
I think they said it's like reverse the speed of the game. So like right now, escalation doesn't escalate. Like right now, initially it's faster, and then you end and it gets like slower, right? So like you get what I mean? Like it's
suspense that escalates. That's the point. You get to a round 13, and it's a 20-second respawn. You died, and that's it. That's why round 13s were hype, because you got to pick. Your adrenaline is escalate. That's the point, not the speed of which the game is played.
But
that's not what escalation is. Like that, the whole point of a round 13 is it's slower paced.
But also think about it too from the flip end, because another reason why I can see it being good is that in the earlier rounds you won't have a lot of weapons, because the thing is that your first few picks off the rounds, you gonna be making choices off utility. What kind of pistols you want? Do you want to give your front 3 spawn smokes?
Well, should we hop into that side of it right now? Should we just move on to that real, since we're kind of since we're kind of here?
It plays a big impact, and
but people gonna be spending their picks on that. So the respawn timers,
spending the picks. What do you mean spending?
Yeah, I was saying
so your choice at the end of each round, you're gonna be if you want to X block, if you want to put something on the team, what you want to do. Like, instead of placing down a weapon, you can choose to give your front 3 spawn smokes off the beginning of the round. That's something that I think a lot of teams are gonna do. You can give them smokes or stuns or something. You know what I'm saying? Because only your back spawns can get smoked, so you gotta give your front 3 spawns. Actually, I take it back. I think the front 3 can get them as well. But you also gonna be having picks where if you want to give your squad machine pistols, then they make a difference. So I'm just saying that the first 3-4 rounds or so, 3 rounds and a half, with the respawn timers at its highest, it's not going to be a lot of power weapons on the map, so it's going to be tactical. But in a background,
let's set this up right now. So let's set this up right now. Just again, so Ben, this is all new to you still. Anyone in the chat, and again, thank God Kenny and Blaze are here to help fill in these gaps. So this is actually a perfect transition. So now, the entirety of how weapons are placed has changed in a big way, right? So we're used to a situation where the losing team gets to place a weapon down, and that weapon's usually on the 50-yard line, or it's the secondaries. Some maps have 2 secondaries, obviously some don't. But now everything has changed. So now, after each round, both teams get a placement. And I believe the winning team places first, actually, this time. So usually if you lose it, you get a placement. I think the winning team places first, right, Kenny?
The winning team does place first.
Yeah, winning team plays first. And now you can place pretty much anything anywhere, but there's like an upgrading system now. So yes, you can put a boom shot on your secondary, based on what I'm getting at. But things can also be upgraded. So like from what I watched on the show, like you started with like a smoke on the secondary, or a stun, or a flashbang, whatever it's called, on the secondary. Yeah, that part I need help on too. The whole who has what, front spawns, back spawns, because Node Zero he was calling them support spawns. So like that's why I assume those are the back ones. So the front. So front 3 spawn with nothing, no smoke.
Yes.
Also, smoke and stuns are now separated, so smoke no longer stuns you. There's flashbangs now, but do you have to upgrade to the flashbang?
No,
you can swap.
So no one's ever gonna pick a smoke then, right? So everyone's gonna always run out with the flashbang.
No, that's not.
I wouldn't say
true.
that.
I'm just asking. You guys played it, so like I would think logically speaking.
You have the option to, yeah.
And then so Ben, like what happens there is the next time there's a placement, so the second round, you can choose to upgrade your current placement. So like I can make a smoke into, we'll just call it a Marxa, for example. I can make that a Marxa. And then the next round, I can upgrade the Marxa to like a drop shot. Keep in mind, this is all on my secondary.
So essentially, it's a weapon tree.
I called it. Yeah, I literally have it on the thing as a weapon tree, because that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. And so then also you can.
My original point.
But you can.
My original point.
You can also you can deny a weapon from your opposition too. So like if
I'm not looking forward to that actually.
I need a notepad, a pen. I need a calculator, dude. I'm gonna be doing algebraic equations, bro.
So
I'm gonna be writing essays. I'm gonna turn into Bob Ross, bro. I'm gonna be drawing out weapon trees, bro. Every map. I'm gonna be like, well, Kenny, he put down a frag grenade, and that's gonna turn into a drop shot in 5 rounds. And in 5 rounds, Kenny's only gonna have 2 lives because he loves to spam his lives, and that's a problem. And now all of a sudden,
not a drop shot. We don't know yet, okay?
I'm just giving. I'm giving examples too, but I guess I'm still trying to think about the idea, because the reason we got here is because it's like, okay, like now that the respawn timers are backwards. I mean, like in theory though, Blaze, like you mentioned the weapons upgrade, I still like Ben's. I agree with Ben on the sense that like round 13s were like super hype, or like the last round's always super hype, because like you said, like a lot of times obviously like the final fight kind of matters, or like everything's more tense around these weapons. So, like I want the cool ass weapons there on the most tense rounds. I want the map to have the most utility on the most intense round. That being said, though, I also don't know if I want a world where if I have a boom shot on my side and he has a drop on the other side, and both teams are watching out with that too. So I definitely see the logic behind both of them. I just, again, like I'm still even very hazy on, because you can also like add ammo and stuff instead, right?
I think the rounds will. Yeah, you can add ammo. Like the secondaries, like if you get like a drop shot on your secondary, it won't have 4 shots. It'll have 1. If you do a drop shot on the main line,
oh yeah, you can also, like Colin said, you can also make it go quicker. Let me get my notes up, because I'm forgetting parts. Okay, yeah, so you can upgrade weapons, make them spawn faster, add ammo, change weapons, or deny weapons. That's what I have in my notes.
cool.
So
good to see we're getting a little
so
nothing about this got
so
simpler.
around 13 with multiple around 13 with 10-second respawns, and we don't, we'll assume that it's a lot of lives left on the board if that even happens on around 13. That's another thing where we don't know how many respawns maybe left on average, because it is going to be a flow of the game like that. But having all the secondaries that got built up versus having all the big power weapons, even saying that you can have a drop on your secondary by round 13, and having those quicker respawns, that type of chaos can feel like an escalation. The same way as the suspense felt like an escalation, So they both can be an escalated experience. I'm just curious to see what's going to be better.
Woo! All right, that's a lot of information. That's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to try and digest.
I think the weapon tree is like the most complicated thing in a sense. Of all the options.
The importance of that is how it's shown, right? Like
true.
If the
and how it's
broadcast
explained.
shows the tree, you know what I mean? Like if it shows the potential decisions players can make, then it's fine. If it doesn't, and that's on commentators every single time, dude, that's just way too much.
But the spectator's gonna be very key on it too as well.
Because that's what I'm saying. The spectator mode needs to show you the tree. It needs to show
if your spectator shows you what's the next thing that this can go to.
And I think the HUD the screen does, right, from I was watching the video today, like, the screen does show you like the progression down, like it's like almost like a line, right? Like
but
Penny
makes
in there.
Progression from an individual player.
See, that's part I can't tell. Right. That's part you can't tell. One other thing, just to real quick talk about the whole ranked player thing. This won't really have much impact in competitive play because everyone will be calmed up and everyone's going to be in agreement to what they do. But in like what looked like ranked or not ranked, each player gets to like essentially vote on what goes down now. So like right now, one player makes the call and what goes down goes down. So talk about like the dickhead in rank, right? Like the same, like if the dickhead in rank wants a boom, it's going down no matter what, right? But in this, all 5 players get to like vote on what goes down. I'm guessing it's
they vote on the evolution.
Yeah, right. They vote on whatever the next play is, whether because the play could be moving something else, could be denying it, could be upgrading it, could be making it spawn quicker, whatever that may be. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think spectator mode is actually after what I saw, spectator mode is what I'm looking most forward to seeing now. Like obviously we've seen gameplay. I mean, we want to see the shotgun shoots and stuff like that. But like, dude, like I need to see like again through the eyes of three-fourths of this call, I need to see like how we convey this.
And randomly, shout out to Cleaner and Waldo, and more important, for observing this game, and Waldo for sitting 12 hours a day watching more Gears of War than anybody entirely throughout Season 1, being a sole observer, and having to make this shit look good and catch all the plays, because that shit ain't easy.
My biggest thing, throwing my like personal opinion in there, like kind of like off of what Ben's saying, like if I'm a new person like looking at Gears 5 and trying to get into it, the game's already difficult to like want to even play, right? It has a hard barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like it's hard to already get in, and then when you make escalation more like confusing, like we'll do that. It makes it more confusing. It is gonna make it more difficult for people to be like, all right, like, do I want to keep doing this? And that's gonna be the hard thing with a new viewer. Like you're gonna lose a handful of people due to not even a handful, like a bunch of handfuls of people just. Losing interest.
Wow. Gears is the highest curved console esport, like premier esport by that. Like, you compare the skill gap to like Halo and COD, Gears is way harder. So if you're Billy who lives down the road, which game are you gonna play out of all 3? Let's say you try all 3. Odds on you get shit on in Gears. I mean, destroyed.
I mean,
COD,
I've got my
might do okay. Halo, probably the middle of all 3. Like that's how I personally perceive it. But then let's say you play and you get destroyed, then you're like, all right, well maybe I can watch and learn something. I mean,
yeah, that's like my little brother. Like so, there's 4 boys in my family. Me, my 2 older brothers, and I got my little brother. All the 3 older brothers, we all play Gears, right? The little brother, he saw it. He said, "Nah, I'm gonna go play Fortnite." Like that. Why would you not choose that? Why would you not say, "Yeah, let me just go play Fortnite. Let me go play something that is easier." Like not easier as in like skill wise, but it's just easier to get into. It's more appealing. It's easier to understand, and that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, no, it's alienating potential people that could join your esport and join your community.
Well, also this is Escalation. Maybe Premier more so on the esports side of it all. but not Gears of War at its heart and what gets you hooked to it.
I don't care about that. Like, we're long past that, dude. We're long past that. Like, what got you hooked to Call of Duty? What got you hooked to
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
no shit. No, I get what you're saying, that it's gonna be difficult for people to understand that it's more difficult than the rest of them. I'm with you guys on that. I hear what you're saying. It is gonna be fucking difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's not my job to cry over the difficult shit though.
Unless like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew this shit was gonna be hard. I've been playing Gears for 12 years. It's always fucking difficult, man.
Right.
It truly is, but like it is. It's difficult.
Right. But my point is,
but when you
create a new game, there is a chance for you to make things easier. Not easier to reduce a skill gap.
Nobody's hopping into Escalation when they get on Gears of War, though.
No,
just so you know.
Right.
No, that's not the first thing that they play. That's all.
No, I know, but that's what I'm trying to explain is that has to change. You know what I mean? Like,
one thing to keep in mind,
that mentality has to change.
This isn't the tech test.
People are saying Escalation first is not always the best thing.
But isn't the tech test? It's Escalation and I think it's Escalation in 2 other modes, right? For the tech test, I think it's Escalation Arcade and King of the Hill. I think this is a 3.
Well, what I will say is that's the biggest issue with esports, right? When the game that professional players play is different than the game the casual player plays. League of Legends.
Well, it's just gonna be game type. Now.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's a different game. Like when I play League of Legends, I'm playing the same game Faker plays, exactly the same.
Yeah,
when I play CS:GO, for the most part, I'm playing exactly the same game that like Guardian plays, for example. When you play Call of Duty, for example, different game. I can play a completely different game than Scump plays. I can play a different Gears of War than Kenny plays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to successfully, in my opinion, grow your esport. It to be the game the pros play. Like if it was up to me and I was trying to grow an esport, like everything Gears of War that you would buy Gears of War and the only thing in the game would be the competitive mode. That's how you grow your esport, whether you want to or not. Oh well,
that'd be the only multiplayer experience.
Right, exactly that. You can still have your single player, you can still have your horde. Great, cool. But when it comes to the multiplayer experience, which is what your esport is, you design your game mode, you make sure it's really fucking good. You settle on it, and that's that. Like, done and dusted.
Well, I think the problem is, like, this is a legacy title. Like, this game has been around for 12 years, and, like, as...
piss off a lot of people.
Well, as we all know...
You guys have just explained to me how we did escalation respawns, we did weapon placement and weapon trees, and I'm already sat here thinking, how the fuck am I going to explain this to a new viewer? That should not be my first reaction. That should not be my first reaction to hey, we tweaked escalation. To me, sitting here thinking, well, this is going to take a long time to explain. Like that, to me, that's going backwards. That's not going forwards. Like, I fail to see how anyone can look at that and be like, all right, we're making good moves.
It's a line of toe. Some of these changes are really good. Some of these changes are really good for like the depth of the game, the meta, the strategy. Again, like I'm skeptical.
Keep it on the viewer though.
What change?
Yeah, thank you.
Tell me the change that we needed.
I think the win. Well, so here to me, I'll say win conditions. Win conditions to me were I didn't like them. I didn't like the weapon placement system because we saw what it turned into by the end of 2019. We saw what that turned into. I guess also like I didn't love the whole like 1.5 when you have 2 hills, which kind of goes into win condition, I guess. I think in general escalation takes too long. So I think that like the fact that our maps were 45 or so minutes if 2 good teams were playing, like that was a problem. So
here's the thing, right?
But I'm with you though on the viewership thing. Like I'm totally with you. It's very confusing.
Before you even get that from the playing point of view, right? Let's go backwards. You said time. Well, yeah, rounds are going to be shorter now because you added a win condition where you team wipe, they're out, right? Mm-hmm. So time should theoretically go down.
Theoretically.
Weapon placement, I mean, that's now completely fucking on steroids. I can have a boom shot on my support weapon side of the map, right?
See, like that's the part of it I don't like. I don't like that part of it. Yeah, like again,
so in reality, that hasn't progressed. That's not progressed. What was the other big thing you said? You said weapon placement. You said time. And what was the first thing you said?
Oh, I didn't like the stuff about the 1.5 seconds. But I mean, and to me, like I was like a coach, and so like one of the biggest things in the comms is to like have to do the math equation in my head of like win on 1, win on 2, need a break, need 2 breaks.
But the fact is that nobody said just put it to 250 when the shit first came out was wild of the zone. You know.
Well,
that's the first thing I said when I saw that.
Well, we asked about it.
200. Why is it not 250? Oh, it's a.
That was the wildest thing.
We asked about it, and it was
that was literally the one thing that never got changed that drove me fucking crazy.
So here's escalation from my POV, right? For the most part, the system that they had was almost pretty perfect. There was a couple of tweaks they needed to do. You change 1.5 to as it should be 2 to 1 points,
2
right?
to 1.
If that's the first thing, instantly your rounds get shorter. You can add your extra win condition of a 5 wipe and the round's over. Boom, game gets even shorter.
But they increased to 250, by the way.
But then, right? Well,
that averages out.
Even so, it should be.
Is it still 1.5 or is it 2 to 1?
It's 2 to 1.
It's
2.
Okay.
It'll still be shorter, just a bit.
Good.
But like you look at weapon placement. To me, the fact that the losing team decided in the first place is just ridiculous. Like, that's just benefiting a team that sucks. You know
well, it was a comeback mechanic.
Right, which is just ridiculous. Right. They shouldn't exist. It's like the ability to spawn behind.
They didn't help people. They weren't smart with it anyway. So.
Well, I mean, there's that too. You're 100% right there. But for me, get rid of that altogether. If you want to do it, let the game do it. Let the game put a boom shot after 3 rounds in the middle of the map. And you know every time you play, well, we need a strat around boom, mid-map, whatever it is. Because weapon placement to me was a cool concept, but it wasn't used anywhere near as creatively as it could. And I genuinely do not believe making it 10 times more complicated is going to solve the fucking thing.
Well, so no, it gave both teams picks. What were you going to say, Kenny?
I was going to say that, like, from a player perspective, I'd rather like the new system than the old system because I'm so sick of playing like Dam and having a boom shot slapped in pit, foundation, boom slapped in middle.
Right, that's what the meta. That's what it became. Yeah.
Yeah, so right, like the gameplay change like that they've made going from 4 to 5 just by separating the smoke and they're calling it the flash or whatever and like and then only 2 people are spawning in with it on the first round. Like that alone, with the old like system plus just not letting people slap heavy weapons down on the center line right away would have made Gears 4 1,000 times more tolerable. So if you just made those little changes.
So I think for me is like I would
I'm saying I'm getting where you come from.
Yeah, my perfect world I guess is like almost a hybrid of these two systems, right? And again, I tweeted over the other day like I'm actually holding all real judgment until I play it, right? Everything that I'm saying right now is pure speculation. I might pick it up and love it. Everything I'm doing is pure speculation. But I think to me what sounds more I guess logical in my brain, and I'm not a game developer, maybe one day, but not right now. My perfect world is like, okay, the upgrade system, I understand it. I like it because I can't auto drop a boom down, but limit that to the 50-yard line. Limit the heavy weapons to where you have to contest for them. Don't give it to them in spawn, right? Like, and then upgrade your secondaries like they're doing, right? Okay, like maybe not throw right down like you play certain teams. It's a Marksa the second it goes down, right? And some people don't like that weapon. Okay, upgrade up to a Marksa then on the second on the sides, right? Like so take like a hybrid of these two systems and again make it a little more tolerable, a little easier to explain to me in my eyes. Like heavy weapons go on the 50, secondaries go on the side. Boom. That's much more easier to explain than like you can make this smoke become this, become that, become this, and then you can take that away and put it there. That just again off the top of my head, that sounds simpler.
Was there a reason that Gears never went like the Halo route?
For what?
With big power weapons.
What you mean?
Like timers. Like, oh, snipers going to be here, rockets are going to be here.
Well, no, yeah, no. What?
Ours is after pickup.
Yeah. But no, yeah, you can arguably
no.
I
mean,
it's like always in the same spot.
Yeah, static location.
Oh, it used to be.
Yeah, Gears 1 and what was
Gears 1, 2, and Gears 1, 2, and 3. Every Gears game, the weapon.
Three changed, but 3 changed.
But weapons were always there. There was always a weapon at a spot, and you knew what they were.
Yeah, exactly. That was all of them. You always knew what weapons was in those spots. They were there on the same rounds, and all the respawn timers were a minute up until what game? All the respawn timers were a minute up until Gears 4, Gears 3.
But you made strategies based on where the weapons were, right?
Yeah, we did. We knew each round what strategies we were gonna run. So
see that is not only super easier like to explain.
So, but that's
also seems like you achieved the same thing.
But also too, that's the reason why I was always so upset with how teams played Gears 4 so fearful because. Having a big power weapon to rotate around in the beginning of the game was so influential of giving a team structure on how to play it because nobody truly ever knows how to play Gears. It's pro teams who get their ass whooped on a daily basis because nobody's creative enough to throw a smoke in a location and formulate a push around it, right? because and they just sit back and get their ass whooped because they don't make plays and they're not playmakers.
Yeah.
And so it just gets harder not having that structure.
Well, to me also like
how strong are flushes, by the way? The stuns.
How should
they're wild.
There's a
video. There's a video.
I can link you. They're strong. Yeah,
I guess to me like too like also.
Is there a point to running a smoke anymore? Because in my mind, if it's single elim, you could just.
I was just gonna say that too. Like
work your numbers. Like why would you not just do that?
When you asked about the frustrations earlier with Escalation, like to be honest, like some of my frustrations were actually more about like the mechanics of the game that to me like trickled into like why you had to play Escalation a certain way. Like I said, the stuns and smokes being the way they were, like that made shit annoying because you had when you threw a boom and pit, you had to throw these 5 smokes, and that's every fight. Remember when we had reclaimed in the bull? Like that wasn't actually even an Escalation problem. That was just like a Gears 4 problem.
You had to make
right? Like you had to play a certain way, and that you had to do what you had to do to win. Right? You had to play a certain way, and like
you did it well, but you had to make
right.
the push.
And so the fact that stuns and smokes are separated is incredible. That's an amazing change, right?
But Kenny, 2 questions: is that the big heavy power weapons on the sidelines?
One bullet.
Did you get any games where you felt like they were crazy OP? And did you get any games where everybody chose that just felt like they wanted to run all stuns?
So me personally, I just feel like because I had that happen. They showed in that game, and like I felt like the boom or the drop, whatever they put on the side, locks down that side of the map until they use their one drop shot. Like you cannot make it a full-fledged drop shot on the side. That would be ridiculous. I wouldn't have been playing. I'd have been arguing right there. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, but because it's one bullet, like you might be able to just like lock down a side for like maybe 15-20 seconds depending on who goes there, and I don't think that that's worthy enough of like a placement. Like I don't see many teams like this next weekend. I don't see pro teams putting a drop shot on their home hill right away as like that's their play they want to make because they feel like it's the most powerful thing. I don't
how
think
many
it'll play that big.
How many rounds until you could put the drop on your home?
It's 3 or 4.
Okay, so that's a lot.
Yeah, it takes you a majority of the half or a good amount to even get it there.
You gotta choose if you want to build into that, okay? Because what I want to say is that because I know we've been talking about how difficult it's going to be, and I even feel it's difficulty because I'm the one who got to explain this shit, right? We got to explain how the weapon tree breaks out, and we got to use as less words as possible to make people get engaged in this game and to truly understand it. But I do think that the pace will be better than what it was. Yeah, you can have some secondary weapons evolve up on your side, but also you got to realize that those lancers and those hit markers going to be ticking, okay? And it's in like even in past Gears games, it was hard to maneuver without being a coordinated push from your team, and you still got one shot to make that play. I think that it is going I think it's going to be better than Gears 4, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch, and it's just going to be a little slightly difficult to explain, but I still think it's going to be a good watch.
Can I give you a hot take?
Yeah, you give me a hot take.
I disagree.
That's cool. I'm gonna make it exciting. But that's cool. But I'm gonna make this shit exciting. So it is what it is.
I'm like
you're gonna make it exciting to the same people that watch this year.
I am. My opinion.
That's not progress, bro. You don't. Your progression is so unbelievably wrong. It's actually frustrating me. I'm actually getting annoyed because you're gonna do your job. You're gonna do your job, and you're gonna do it really, really well, and you're gonna do it really, really well to the same people that watched all the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's not progression.
But I hear what you're saying. Okay. What you're saying is that new viewers won't come because it's more complicated. What I'm saying is that I'm gonna find a way to get them hooked regardless. Okay. I knew Escalation wasn't going nowhere. We all knew Escalation wasn't going nowhere. Okay. And we got to deal with it, So it's either like I'm gonna cry about it, or I'm gonna make that shit hype as fuck.
The one thing I think is it could help Gears 5 is like, the gunfights, right? Like because you're not fighting in a smoke every 2 seconds of your existence and just chucking smoke stuns. Like you can, as a viewer, you could see more of what's going on the screen and understand what a team is doing better than like Gears 3 and Gears 4. So I feel like Gears 5 does have that going for itself. Because of like the smoke and stun has been like kind of a plague in Gears for these last couple of games. It's just
how long were maps, Kenny?
Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember. I'm
just curious too. Yeah, I know.
If you had to think about the first.
There were so many things that I was trying to look at while I was playing it during that point that I could not tell you. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's not like the game of the video. Hey, this was like 36 minutes. Like, no, it was like I could tell you that map went to around 13 that I played. And
did it feel like a regular one? Did it feel longer? Did it feel shorter? Or was it just not even on the radar?
it wasn't even on the radar. There were so many things I was trying to pay attention to because like there's so many things you have to grasp onto when you first get onto that game. Like don't even get me into like the like trying to think about the reverse omen and the damage I'm taking and the damage guns are hitting me with now and like whatever else is going on around me. The fact that I'm dying and I can't respawn now. Like I think there's a point where they show me like rubbing my head because there's so much shit you have to think about while you're playing. I've been playing Gears for a long time now. Like when you're sitting there playing that game for the first time, like you feel pretty lost, and that's a bad thing.
That right there is my entire point.
And hopefully the maps are at least 20 minutes.
Kenny, who has been playing Gears of War his entire life, who is one of the best players to ever play, just said that it's confusing for him.
It's
just a lot to take in.
Let that resonate.
It's a lot to take in
for him.
He said it's a lot.
I'm like a hybrid right now of like my I don't have an opinion, but my speculation, my jerk reaction thoughts are like somewhere in between like Ben and Guy right now. So like I love a lot of what they're doing, and I like it for the reasons they're doing it. And Mikey, thanks for the sub, buddy. Appreciate you. So I like what they're doing and the reasons why they're doing it, right? The respawns were because we said, hey, we're tired of people playing stupid. We're tired of people throwing their life away. We're tired of people not thinking about it. Okay, so they put things in, mechanisms to fix that. I like that. Okay, we said we want certain things changed about the way weapon placements work. We don't like a boom being dropped down round one. Okay, so they're putting things in play to mitigate that, right? They're putting things in play. Okay, we said, okay, the game doesn't feel deep. There's no meta. It's cut and dry. It's one-dimensional, one way. Okay, so they're putting the trees in to put depth into what you think about and how you think about it. So like I love the idea behind what is happening. I love the idea of the game type changing. We said we didn't like 210, now it's at 250. We said we didn't like 1.5, now it's at 2-1, right? There's a lot of great things happening there, right? There's a lot of fantastic things. But I also I'm not gonna, because again I'm very positive about the future. I say it all the time. It's the most exciting time ever to be a Gears fan, Gears player. I'm also a logical person. I'm not going to ignore the things that Ben are saying too about the new viewers. Like let's not act like that's not a thing just because we're afraid to be negative. Like this isn't even negative. This is our speculation. This is not. No one look. This is us bashing or doing. Like if we show any kind of concern, that's normal. It's a new game coming out. They do it in COD every year. They do it in Halo. Like there's always speculation. There's always concern, and that's okay. That's part of the process, right? So I'm also. Right, I'm also a little concerned about some of these features in terms of a new viewer, right? Like I now look through the eyes of how do I explain this, and I'm on the analyst desk. Well, not right now, but I will be on the analyst desk, and so I'll feel like my job is to say what happened, right? So like they call it through the eyes of what's going on right now. I have to bunch all that into a ball and then explain to a viewer what happened and why it happened and break down what progression led to that, right? So now I have to have a good understanding of the whole weapon tree system to say, okay, what Simplicity did here was they started with this, they had to move it there, and that created a situation where they could take it and move it over there, and that's the eyes I look at it now. So like I have all the hope in the world, but I also have some concern, which is a very normal thing to have, especially when you have some of us who've been in the Gears scene for as long as we have been. We've kind of seen a little bit of everything. So again, I never want anyone to think that like this is like look at how they don't love every single aspect. Like, oh my god, the house is going to burn down. This is part of the process. So I just want to make sure I get that out there. But I like what Kenny said about the. I'm sorry.
The big difference. I think the big difference is, from my experience, I have learned that for what is good for an esport, and this may be really, really surprising, but the cut and dry of it is essentially the truth. It doesn't matter how the game plays. It doesn't matter what the game is. Literally, it doesn't matter the rules. Doesn't matter anything. It just matters how easily accessible is it to someone who has no idea what it is. It's as simple as that. It really is. If players find certain games, and there's maybe two I can think of, where they get their ass beat and they just want to get better and they want to improve, sure. That's definitely one way where, games take off. But the reality of the situation is, if you watch a game for the first time and you have no idea what the hell is going on and it's unbelievably complicated, what's the next game? You move past it. It's so cynical almost, but it's the blunt truth. Like, when people are deciding whether to buy the game or not, right? Who are they going to watch? Where are they going to get their information from? YouTube and Twitch. Right? When you have big streamers who are inevitably now going to play this game, big streamers who are inevitably going to be like, what the fuck is going on here? That doesn't help.
I would actually I would suggest any new player to don't look at Escalation at the first time. And I'm not saying that as oh, you'll never understand. It's it is going to make you probably turn away. And as a player, when I was looking at it and seeing all the stuff, I was taking in a lot, but give me that game for a week and I know a lot of things. So it's you get more time with it, you'll digest it, but the first thing a new person should be looking at is probably not Escalation.
And that's to my point about how do you grow an esport. From my earlier on point, you want the game that the casual plays to be the same as the professional plays, because I want to aspire to be you. That's the point. When I play Gears, I want to be Kenny. You know what I mean? When I play League, I want to be Faker. I'm not trying to be anybody else. You want to be the best in the world.
I've tried to be Faker, it didn't work.
I'm lucky. You don't try and play a different game. I don't play Horde to be oh, look at me, I'm Kenny Bounce. That's not how that shit works. And I hate to be that guy. I really hate to be that guy. But just based off the first two topics, shit, we haven't even talked about topic number 3. I'm just gonna say it. This is not the path of growing an esport. I'm sorry, it just isn't. I've seen this happen before with games that have come out and made it way too complicated, and it just doesn't work. People don't react well to shit like that, and that's a fact.
I guess to me, are there aspects they can put in the game and little things, and maybe this is too minute of a thing. What if? And I know they have ways to do this. I've seen it in other games. What if they have a way that if you haven't played a game of, let's even call it Gears 5, screw it, make everyone do it. If you load up Escalation, you have to go through a training mode for Escalation. You have to go through something that explains it to you piece by piece, step by step. And again, I know it sounds very minute, and they might just run right through it. It might even be in the game. I don't know, but okay, so yeah, so things like that could help. And
people that are playing the game though.
Right, that's true.
How are you going to do that to someone that stumbles across?
And also, Colin made a good point in the chat too. One thing to also very much keep in mind, and again, who knows how much that can change, but this is build number 1 essentially of it, right? This can be, we could see a ton of things exploited over the weekend at Heat League, right? We could see something that looks very broken. Those changes can be made. We have two. I hope we do though. Not for that.
That's how you fix it.
Right. I hope that these guys get their hands on it, and then we find out what's good, what's bad. But we have also the 2 sets of tech tests or betas, if we want to call them, right? We have those things out there where then the public gets a hold of it, and the public gets to play it. And I know double-edged sword, if something's broken, that's not good. But at the same time, it is good to fix what's broken. That's part of life.
I'm so extreme. I'm scared deep down because I remember vividly.
Lyric.
I remember vividly Gears of War 4 being released. The one thing that I've been adamant about since Gears of War 4 came out till now is that don't you ever release another game and give. I don't granted it's advertisement to give, to pay Lyric and all those guys a stream, but you got to give your core that game as well, and you got to try to get them together because first impressions are everything. And I just pray we have a good first impression because I've seen Gears first impressions go down the drain so fast and we never recover on update 2 or update 3. And then, you just got to get the core fans, the people who are a part of esports.
Remember Gears 2? Ben, have you heard about Gears 2 when it came out?
Oh my lord!
Blind fires for some reason were broken on day 1, and so when you blind fired, the bullet would shoot straight down to the ground. So if you blind fire your shotgun, yeah, so it's almost like a wall in front of you, right? So if you shot your blind fire shotgun, it hit the ground. But if you had a boom shot and you tried to blind fire the boom shot, you're blowing yourself up. So that. That was good times.
Our first impression is on national TV.
Yeah, so, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, our first impression is on national TV of what this game is, and I don't plan on casting talking about this is just a beta, even though I might have to say it. Yeah, guys, this is just this ain't even a full game yet. Changes get made, but I feel like they're confident in it. I feel like they're extremely confident. That's why our first impression is on national TV, and if they're not, then that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we all hope that it goes amazing, right? I mean, that's obviously a huge piece of exposure for us in our game.
Also, I agree that Escalation should not be one of the first things that you watch.
I think the tech test is good that they have.
What's really funny? I hate to compare experiences from different games, but at the end of the day, that's how you learn. I don't know if you guys remember when Black Ops 4 came out. E-League did something with COD. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what they didn't do? Play competitive game modes. They played fucking Kill Confirmed because it was showcasing.
And Blackout, right?
They were showcasing the game in the easiest way possible. They played a battle royale and kill confirmed. For those of you that don't know, kill confirmed is basically team deathmatch with a very small amount of objective. When you die, you drop a dog tag, you pick the dog tag up, you get points. That was played in COD XP back in 2011, where a map lasted 45, 50 minutes because both teams refused to move. Very similar to the execution dilemma you guys had at kind of similar time. And yet, that was what was shown on TV because it was easily accessible. To the point, we're basically showing something which the majority of people who are going to be talking about it don't really have all the information on it. We can pretend we do, but we've never seen it actually used, so we don't have experience talking about it. We're going to have to explain it to literally people who have never even seen video games before.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be on TV. And you're going to try and tell me that this is going to be positive?
That's what scares me the most.
That's just terrifying.
I failed to see
Pretty scary.
I sent the email today. Was like, hey, just so y'all know, I'll be waiting for y'all when y'all get there on Friday to make sure I get my hands on the game. Yeah. And I said, when can I get it on this day too? Because I said make sure that everything is set up because I'm coming in and I'm not getting off the station.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're going to be talking about the game on TV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's good, but that's good that they put some. That's good that they put some of it on the episode with Kenny and Vic though too. So like, at least now there's a starting point at least for like the core audience, right? There's and I'm sure a ton of people who also watch on TV regularly, like they are starting to get information out there. So again, like we talked about it last time with their marketing plan about like how they're continuously hitting new things to keep the hype rolling to give us information. So I'm glad that it's out there now. Like I said, it seems like it's soon because it is soon, but also like imagine if we didn't get that on TV the day. Imagine if we didn't have this episode of Brothers and Bonds and Betrayals to watch, right? Then what? Then
the game changer and the most important thing that can even make a lot of our issues go away is the spectator mode. How this game is viewed. What information is on the screen? I always said that when the team is about to get a domination, that you needed to have like an on-screen like flash or graphic or something to just always keep people's attention grabbed. What's the UI going to be like? So that if that's great, then a lot of our issues can go out the window. Well, hoping that that's great now, I ain't never seen it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so let's use that as an opportunity to segue.
All the issues. Don't jump the gun. All the issues definitely won't go out the window. Some will.
But I'm saying, but I'm just hoping that the spectator, that they spent a lot of time on that spectator mode because that's how it's going to be viewed.
Wait, Guy, you're basically like the face of Gears of War and the talent team. Did you go out and help them with that? I'm assuming by the silence.
I've never seen Gears.
I've never seen. So I've worked in esports for nearly 10 years. Ask me how many. You know what, Kenny, Ryan? Ask me how many times I told the coalition to fly me out so I could work on their spectator mode. Ask me.
How many times?
Probably 10 plus. Probably more. Every other event. Ask me how many times I took a flight out to help them with their broadcaster mode. Ask me.
Ken, you want to ask him?
That's how many times that actually happened?
0. Not once. So when the people who use your tool, and bear in mind there's probably 10 of us, don't give you any input into it, and you're gonna tell me you're confident, I'm sorry.
Well, let's use that as an opportunity to segue into the whole idea of this, because this goes on we'll talk about from the player perspective, and obviously maybe let's use this as an opportunity to say what we hope is in the broadcast mode, right?
Ben ain't been there, but I'm pretty sure Cleaner Waldo's been there, and I've been around. I've been around as well.
No disrespect to Cleaner and Waldo. They don't see things the same way I see things. Or
that's
the same
true.
way someone with 10 years of casting experience. They see it observing. Right, and observing what they want is very different than what the new viewer wants, because they want all the intricate details. They live and breathe this shit, and that's what.
Hey, we didn't want 5v5, but we got it. You know, some shit you can't talk.
Let's go there. Let's take this as an opportunity. Like, obviously, yeah, I'm sure we all would have been there. Like, let's use that as an opportunity to say, okay, what do we hope / think needs to be in this broadcast mode or spectator mode or whatever you guys want to call it, observing mode. There's all 10 different names for it. Like, let's start with what's in the new stuff for the player, and then we'll take that into what we think that the viewer needs to see on the screen. So the biggest things that I have that are new for the HUD, I call it the HUD, the whole screen, whatever you want to call it. There's a mini map. So now there's a mini map. So that's huge. Fantastic. Love it.
Are you saying in escalation? Because that's not true.
What did I see on the screen?
That's Node Zero put it on Twitter that the mini map is not. It's not going to be in the full build.
Why not? Oh.
Like for escalation at least, it's not going to be in the full build. I don't know about anything else.
They like zoomed in on it on the TV.
No, like people on Twitter zoomed in on it. Like
no, like on the episode.
Are they saying when you guys were playing at the place, it was only for that time, right? That you had a mini map.
I believe so. I mean, I'll find the tweet right now, and like you tell me what you think.
But my thing is, will it be in casual game modes?
Here's the thing about the minimap.
I don't know.
The minimap is irrelevant to players. I don't care if a player has it or not.
Yeah, so I was gonna say in gear, spectators need it, but for the players, it's a third-person game. Like you already see the map.
Let's talk about it, but let's talk about having a mini map for the spectator. Let's talk about that. Let's keep it from that.
It better do. If I don't see that when I get there, that's not the first thing I see when I see the spectator mode. I can't tell.
Yeah, so I think it should have that for sure. One other thing that I like that was added that I'm assuming stayed in. A lot of the things will go back to me doing the coaching stuff. Part of the stuff, like I mentioned with the 1.5 to 2.0 thing, was like the idea of like, do we win on 1? Like, do we win on 2? Can we only hold our 1 hill? Do I need a break? Do I need what do I need to win? A lot of that's on the screen now, so it tells you like in how many seconds something will happen. So like I said, at this point, like doesn't it tell you when the weapons come up too, Kenny?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so coaches are out of a job at this point. So, all that's no, I'm totally kidding. I retired at the right time. But no. So,
does it tell you that information as a player?
Yes, when you press, I think it's when you press the HUD.
I just like that.
I love that. I love that.
I hate that.
I love it.
As a player, it should be on you. You shouldn't be given an aid.
No, so Halo went from not having it to I believe adding it in, and so it's happened before that progression.
Even like League of Legends does that.
Backwards progression.
Well, hold on. I agree that as a player, you should be able to know these respawns if you can, and be able to track them on your own. We did them for years after picking it up, and I feel like that was a big part of what made teams good or not. But I do think that knowing when the weapons are going to be on respawn, that people will stop playing like idiots, and we'll have some more competition. Shit. Okay,
they should be able to figure that out with a coach or with common sense.
But people don't even know what to do off of front spawn.
And that's great, and hopefully they'll learn that. But that doesn't take away from the point that we're.
But I think it changes the flow of the game, though. I think it changes the flow of the game to making fights around.
It helps.
So what we're doing is we're taking the good skill gap. And we're saying fuck
that's
it.
Not the
we're
good
taking
skill
the bad
gap.
skill
That's
gap.
not the good skill gap.
Being able to time things and setting up and being prepared.
Not in gears. Good skill gap is rotating with your team and hitting shots. Okay.
It caters.
That's the dumbest thing I've heard.
It helps casuals. I think that's what more important. Like it helps casuals.
We're giving players crutches. We're literally giving players crutches. That's not a good thing. It's like death streaks in COD. Why? Unnecessary. You don't need it. You shouldn't aid bad players. If you're herpa-derpa-derp and you can't count to 90 seconds and you have no idea how to look at a shot clock, like an overall round clock, and count down from when boom was picked up, that's a skill. That is a skill. You should not take that away. Observers, viewers, we should have that. Fuck yeah, we should.
Yeah, that needs to be in spec. Needs to be in spec mode.
As a player, if you're so stupid that you can't count to a minute 30, you shouldn't be playing the fucking game.
When you place, I'm looking at the video. When you place the weapon down,
they are.
This is a good thing.
They are. They're that slow, Ben.
Yes,
and it's not even.
And I'm tired of watching them not rotate. I don't care. Slow. And I'm tired of it. They won't learn.
I tell you what. Let's add full on aim assist, right? When you have your crosshair over someone's body, it just snaps up, right? Because at this point, we're giving everyone a fucking crutch. So why not give them crutch like that? When you pick up boom. So now in case you didn't know, when you pick up boom, guys, that's auto gonna lock. It's gonna auto lock. It's like a fucking auto fireman. Guaranteed double kill every time because it's.
And then they still lose a tournament.
You're
and
completely missing. You're completely missing the point.
No, I get your point fully, and I'm telling you that they still gonna suck. Okay.
And who cares if they suck? You shouldn't give them a crutch. That's the point. Good players will get better.
And I'm telling you, I'm tired of watching them not rotate for power weapons because they suck.
Like from a pro level.
I am because they suck.
Okay.
I was gonna say from a pro level, it doesn't play like that big of a difference. Only because most pro teams at this point have coaches that will tell them the timing. That will.
Exactly. But
They have iPhones
too,
that'll keep track of it and like
but even on the
whatever else.
spectator,
Like.
Remember who started that one, Kenny?
People start tracking them more. People will start tracking them more as time goes on. Even if it's on the spectator itself, people will be aware of what the respawn timers are and how influential they are to the gameplay. But that is just such a big part of the gameplay on how to play competitively. That's like if weapon respawn timers were in rank, I would be so much happier because people don't even know how to fucking move around the map.
I was gonna make that point.
It's needed to change, like to actually change the skill level of the entire community to learn how to play this game on the right level. Because some people don't understand that, and they run around the maps with their head cut off, and they never truly learn gears. And I understand at the highest level, you shouldn't need it.
It's not even about that.
At the highest, it's not competitive.
This is now the snowflake mentality. This is now the snowflake mentality that developers are doing. But at the same time, let's make the game. 5.
I
don't care. The idea shouldn't be let's make this as easy as possible. You don't need that.
It's not as common information. Ask yourself, what's easy information and what should be common information and what should be displayed and what shouldn't? I feel like the weapon respawn timer should be common.
To me, it's a double-edged sword because it definitely does give crutches, but at the same time, I also am okay with the barrier being easier for casuals too because like we said, we struggle the most out of the 3 console esports. We struggle the most with the barrier of entry for new players. So again, I don't really know what to think about it. To me, it's a double-edged sword. I do agree with Kenny though that it won't do a ton. But I also don't love the idea of force feeding like the game to people. I don't know.
What I think. Another thing that's more like that, like what I agree with Ben on for like another thing is like you guys notice on the top of the HUD like when they'll say like swarm team wins in 49 seconds, right? Like it'll literally tell you if you win the game now. Like
that's beautiful.
No, it's not beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
That
oh
is
my
so
god! I'm so happy.
I'm sorry. Me and Guy can never be on the same show again. It's ridiculous. Guy has changed. Casting has changed, Guy. Casting has changed, Guy. He's become a snowflake.
Yeah,
he's become a oh, give me all the information I need because I want the barrier to entry to be so easy.
Some people don't understand though.
Well, okay, hold on. We all agree though. Can we all agree on this? This all has to be in the spectator mode. Can we all?
Yes,
okay, all right. As long as we're agreeing agreement there.
I'm talking about the game now. Here's the thing. You all played CS, I assume.
Yeah, a lot.
Right. Do you ever remember your first game of CS?
Got banged out, but yeah.
Yeah, and what happened? You probably were like, "Oh, I want to improve at this game," right?
I kept playing. I liked it.
After a little bit. After a little bit.
For the majority of people, when you suck at something, you want to improve at something.
You do.
When the game is, borderline understandable.
But they don't understand it.
So thank you, Guy, for proving my entire point.
Okay,
in the past
keep
30
going.
minutes.
Keep
They
going.
don't understand it, which is the problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But just because someone doesn't understand something, that's on how the game is designed. You shouldn't be crutching your players, making a game easier. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. Giving players an aid.
I would tell you this though. I would tell you that more greater good will come from those 2 changes than most changes ever in Gears. Adding those 2 things of weapon respawn timers and when your team is about to win a round, especially in rank, will create a more enjoyable experience across the game. Now, I will say that in comp play, that as a player, you should be able to know these things on your own, and that adds to the skill of a player, and that makes you better than most. And I agree with that so hardly because that is something that you need to know.
You heard when Kenny said the game tells you if you're gonna win, right?
Yes. Okay.
And
Yeah.
And you think that's a good thing?
You didn't hear what I said. I think it's a great thing. I think it's gonna do more good across Gears as a whole. Now in combat, if you want to make the argument, saying
Ben just got up and left.
Because it's true though. It's true. Like you tell like playing these ranked games and playing against the players that's playing Gears and who do not understand this in the flow of this game.
I see
people understand how Gears should be played, and a lot of it is played around the power weapons, and understanding when you can win off of 2, when you have to play for those trip cap dominations in those sense. But at a comp level and like at the MLG Pro circuit, Do I think that players need them? No, I don't. I think that coaches should be good in the mix to track that shit as well.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. That's the thing. Like
Listen,
your whole point is
literally double-edged sword. I'm stuck in the middle.
What are you gunning for? And like you see decisions in Gears like in the past, and I'm not like bashing the coalition or anything like that, but like in Gears you've seen like I'll just go across all of games.
The
Like,
most
you've seen things
hardcore
making easier. Like they're making things easier, and just like these little nudges to like make things easier for certain people. So like I get it.
It's too hard for people because no one understands how the fucking game mode works.
Because they don't
has nothing to do
with weapons. But like
let's make a game mode which is comparable to chess. Oh well, people find it too hard. It must be the actual game mechanics. Let's tell people when they win the game.
Who've been playing this game for 10 years still don't know how to play the game at its highest level.
Yep.
And they've been playing this game for 10 years. Okay. So right now,
I mean, people like that like never deserve to win. Like it's one of those. Like I know right now sitting in there with like
a lot of competition showing up to these events because people keep getting their ass kicked. Because they don't understand what we understand.
A lot of players just need to grow. Like that's like I've now went from like a point where I was playing with like top players to like falling down a little bit. And like looking at other people, there's just common things that your Billies, your Gilberts, praise in the chat, your praise, your friends, like all these people understand these common things that players that are even getting like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, like they don't understand it. They're not grasping it. And those are things that you need to grow. Like Escalation is not that old of a game type if you compare it to other things. It's 2.5 years old, right? It's like people need to learn it, but that doesn't mean you like. I could see you not wanting to, baby feed them. Here you go. Let me just put this right in your mouth and you're good. Like, there still needs to be the certain skill and things. I see both sides. It's just
people need, man. I just.
Yeah, bro. Just like let's just play TDM.
It's a lot. Like, I agree with a lot of the things that y'all are saying. And I've agreed that of a direction that Gears should have been in a while. But things, some things aren't going to change. Okay. Some things aren't going to change, and then Gears has been in the same spot. And what I'm trying to say is that I don't want Gears in the same spot for Gears 5 that it was in 4, and that it was in 3, okay? And that it was in 2, and what it was in 1. I don't want that shit, so I'm down for some new shit, man.
I'm gonna preface this.
I mean, I'm down for new maps.
Like, guy knows this real well, but in the entire time I've been in Gears of War community, every time a developer has asked me an opinion on the game, I have always said, every single time without fail, ask a player. If you want an opinion on how the game is viewed or broadcasting mode, ask me. I have never once given input on this game, on any of the games.
You've only given input on broadcast.
Exactly, because that's my expertise. My expertise isn't the game. But when things are changing, which to me are clear as day, not beneficial, then I'm gonna say something. And to me, so far, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in. We haven't really. I mean, we kind of saw some win conditions.
You didn't play the Escalation game I just played, bro, in rank.
I'm just kind of. I don't know, man. I'm not aboard the positivity train. Next up, Negativeville. Like that's where we're at right now.
I think those few changes is for the ones who didn't put a lot of hours in on this game and understand how cool this.
Yeah, but that's on them. That's on them, though. Like, we shouldn't.
Go tell Kobe you want to help other people make shots because they didn't put the extra time in the gym.
I'm in agreement that you don't. I'm in agreement that you don't need it at the highest competitive level that you should be able to turn it off and be okay, cool with that. But then you get into another level of having 2 different games from ranked into comp.
But you agree with me that that's a skill though, right?
Yeah, I agree that is a player skill, 100%. Okay.
So we're taking that away from the game now.
I've won rounds in tournaments out timing player. Okay.
So now you realize that that's not going to be a thing anymore.
No. I'm not. No, I get what you're saying. Everybody's gonna have those timers on the screen, and you won't be able to individually make that moment. I do understand, but hold up. As Kenny said, at the highest level of coaches, letting people. That's the reason why coaches are on the stage. These players know the respawn timers anyway, and there's been very few situations with teams who've had coaches where you see me up on that desk with those timers where they really fucked up on the play around those power weapons at the highest level.
That's not true. We have seen lots of.
Did they have on Fight Night?
No.
Fight Night is one thing.
Events. Events we see people miscalculate.
Yeah, but that's
heavy.
But they pay.
Never have.
But there you go. So Ryan's saying at his highest level that they've never done it. Okay. But I'm agreeing that you're missing that. But as a player who has been playing Gears Ranked for 12 years and raging and broke controllers and spent money on this fucking game, so, that we will benefit more from having that in Ranked.
Here's the problem. Andre in your chat, that's that mentality of I shouldn't have to do this because I want to focus on just using my shotgun isn't what makes a game at all
the highest competitive. Yeah,
it's just not. I'm sorry. Like if you fail to see that you doing math in the middle of a round is a skill,
but that's not gonna make.
Well, that's I wanted to.
But at a low level, it absolutely will.
At a low level, it makes them better because they will not learn how to play.
But that's the thing. I can count so many times where like even players at a top level, right? They don't like let's say in a 2K, right? They don't have their coach in the lobby. Like this is like going to what Andre said before that. Putting who wins on the screen is not going to change the winner of the map. That's not true. There's so many times where you're not sure. Like you're like questioning, like, yo, do we win off 1? Yeah. Because it's the 1.5. You're like, yo, do we win? And then you're like, just screw it, play for the second hill. Let's be safe than sorry. And I go running out. Or the other person goes running out, and here I am hiding behind the cover, like hot dumbass free chunk, and then I go take your home hill, and now I for sure win because of like the stupid rotation you made because you know if you win or not. Fast forward to Gears 5, in that scenario, that player's not giving up his positioning on the hill. He's not giving up where he's sitting. He's sitting there with the Lancer posted up saying, I win.
Would it being 1 or 2, do you think in Gears of War 4, if it was 1 or 2 instead of 1.5, do you think teams were made as many dumb pushes that they did?
Yes. Yes, 100%.
2 to 1.
Gears players don't know math. Like we learned that from Twitter. People they don't know how to do math. So there's not a chance in hell that number changes.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. Like I get the whole educating people, but at the same point, it does take away from the competitiveness of the game. It's like Ryan's been saying, it's a double-edged sword. You could argue this till like the end of the night, however long you want to go.
With us being on Gears 5, I think we need it because ain't shit changed since Gears 3. Or UE, or in Judgment, or in any of those games, and I think
we need camo, we need like Juggernaut, we need kill streaks.
Hey, they got a first
impression. Let me get that perk.
What else?
Yo, Ben, there's a perk in Escape or something that lets you jump like halfway across the map. Is what it looks like. You just start jumping from forever.
You take cover. You take cover from farther away.
Yeah, I need that. Let me get that. I want that.
It's only an Escape. It's not in any multiplayer.
Nah, I know it's not a multiplayer. Ben almost lost his shit.
Alright, well, what's up?
Well, a guy probably would have been like, well, this is good for competitive. We need this. Our players are dumb, and our players don't know how to play the game, so let's give them every aid we possibly can.
Hey, I'm all about it. If we show up to the first, if we show up at our first major and I got 200 Gears teams there, I don't give a fuck.
You're not. Like,
hey, I'm gonna ride this way because I know it's gonna do more good than harm. So
shouldn't be in there.
It is what it is. I'm on a good end of the double-edged sword. So.
So I guess what
if y'all got a higher prize pool because kids showed up to the tournament, y'all won't care. Okay, shoot. Y'all won't care at all.
And if you think putting a timer on a fucking screen is gonna equate to more people turning up when the game mode got 10 times more difficult and people aren't going to understand how to play.
No. It's understanding the priorities.
You're saying Gears kids don't understand how to play this game.
It's understanding the priorities.
How the hell do you think they're going to do? Well, my
I think they're going to do a lot better because they have the respawn timers on their screen and they have win conditions. So I think they're going to do way better. And I think they all get a pick at the end of the rounds, okay? And they have to value their life more. So I think our competition is going to be fucking crazy.
I guess my hot take's kind of that I actually think that when the game develops a little bit, I actually think that like a ton of rounds are going to be won by the 5 wipe. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
By the 5 wipe? Yeah.
The 5 wipe? Yeah. I think that's going to be... But it changes the objective because like normally it's like, okay, like we have 4 dead, go to the hills. Now it's like, no, we got 4 dead. The fuck is this last guy? Like that's what it yeah.
Headshot? Oh,
that's what it yeah, so like I that's my, hot take when it comes to win conditions, but I guess what other thing from the HUD, just another quick thing to point out that is to me a very small detail I think would be cool. Hit markers have changed. I think the biggest one that I like the best is now with the shotgun. When you hit someone with a shotgun, it shows you which pellets connect. So I think that's a good visual. So players know, like, why didn't I chunk him? Like, they can literally see, like, okay, like, some of these pellets didn't connect. So fantastic change there. The Lancer has, I believe, hit markers now, too. Kenny can speak to that a little more than I can, but the Lancer, I know, has hit markers now from what I saw in the video. Check what else visually I have in my notes that stuck out to me.
I'll say off of those two things, like, the responsiveness you get from playing, like, in Gears 4, there's so many times I'm like, is this guy actually hit and hurt because the blood or like whatever it is can be deceiving? I'm like, I'll hit somebody. I'm like, yo, this guy, I hit him, right? He just got fucked up. Let me go chase after it. I get chunked. 23. What do you mean 23? I just hit this guy really hard. No, I didn't. The blood's very deceiving. The shots are very deceiving. And that's another thing that got pointed out in, like, I think it was a video by Nunez, and like if you're watching the gameplay,
awesome to know that you're hitting shots, bro. Like
the feedback and then the angle of the camera. Like, the way they change it is good.
Give me the exact number pop up above his head when I hit him.
In all honesty, we probably need that shit too.
See, that was me being sarcastic.
Let's put health bars in. I was about to say that one too. Let's put the health bars.
But no, I don't mind like the shotgun pellets hitting, because like the way that people move on this game, like I don't mind like shotgun pellets hitting, because that's where that the shotgun inconsistency is the reason why a lot of people don't play this game.
Right, so the less friction on the shotgun to me is always a good thing. The more someone can understand. I saw some people getting mad with the kill cam. By the way, I don't really have any issue with the kill cam. I guess unless it could be like exploited.
The final build.
Yeah, well, I just saw them. They were targeting on TV. I guess I don't like. Someone's like, why would they put that in? Like, I don't see any issue with that personally. And maybe there's something I'm not thinking about, but like. I mean, a lot of times, like,
it depends on the information.
It's just more friction. It just takes away more of that, like, how the hell did that happen? And you know what? That's still going to happen. They're still going to have those. There's going to be a clip where a guy puts the whole spread, and the whole fucking spread shows up, and the guy doesn't die, and he's going to tweet out Node, he's going to tweet out all these guys, right? Those are still going to happen, but I think it'll happen way less now, right? And then at the kill cam, like, how did this guy kill me from here? How did this happen? That like, all right, like, you watched Vic. You get to watch Vic reaction shot you, like.
I'm going to take the flip view on that. I hope that's not in anything competitive. And my reason for that is because if you show me 3 seconds of Vic reaction shotting me, so you show me beforehand, and then you show me a second afterwards, right? And it's probably like really 5 seconds. I'm potentially going to get information on where his teammates are based on where I just got reaction shotted. Like, you might be able to see his teammates in the camera. You might be able to see someone hiding behind a corner. And that's the first thing I thought about. I don't want that information should not be given to anybody.
No,
I actually hate that about the marketing.
Kenny, I disagree. That's a great aid. Let's give our as possible.
Yeah.
Well, what should happen in the kill cam? Your teammate should be highlighted through walls, fluorescent green, so you can't miss them. That's what should happen.
Green wall.
What happens in COD?
Green wall. The green goblins come.
So I guess maybe how about this a toggle because I think it's a good.
I think it's stupid, and I agree with everything Kenny just said. I think it's fucking stupid.
So
just because COD has it doesn't mean I think it's fucking.
This could take it a different rabbit hole. I think maybe.
How did you feel about it? Because
I hate it.
Well, maybe that's something that can be toggled, right? Maybe to go a different rabbit hole right now, like the customization, like how much do we, if we have how much customization we have, but like if we have a lot of it, what do we keep on and off for competitive play without straying too far away from what the casuals play, but also keeping those kind of features like the kill cam that casuals will like in there, like some other stuff, without straying too far from the same games. Also, like, and maybe I'll open this can of worms. Maybe I should not do this. Like the inverse omen, right? Having a situation where you can toggle the classic omen or the inverse omen, right? Things like that. 'Cause I've seen that took over the timeline for like 2 weeks, right? So like, and again, I don't know, Ben, if you've seen the inverse omen, but so now
I want you to find the picture of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the inverse omen is a big one, but I'm all about the debate of kill cam, win conditions, and
toggling things,
weapon respawn timers at the highest level of competitive play. I think if you took those 3 things off, that it does not break your game and is not that different from a casual standpoint or the people who's playing ranked all day where they wouldn't want to play. But the inverse omen shit, I think that's in a different category.
That needs to be toggled. That's individual to the player. That's preference. That's player preference.
I would love if it was player preference, but like the fact that it's a whole game preference,
So Ben, hold on. Let's explain it. Let's explain it to Ben. So inverse omen. So
find a picture.
Yeah, Kenny's gonna get a picture, and I have a picture on my phone. I can text to you. In every Gears game ever, when you take damage, the cog in the middle of your screen, the omen, fills up, gets very dark. When it gets too dark, you go down. Okay. In Gears of War 5, from what we've seen so far, again, final build, it's like essentially the opposite. So what that means is your screen essentially caves in red into an omen, and now the omen in the middle is like where you have the most vision, if that makes sense. Like you can still see. I'll send you a picture, and this is the most extreme.
Everything around
So it's like
omen
your
is
screen
red.
is
So-
screen is bloodshot, but the omen is
So when you're at, it's kind of like COD almost in some senses.
Yes.
When you're at 99%, I'm gonna send you a picture right now of when you're at 99% basically. And again, it's very similar to COD where it sort of takes over your screen in a sense. And I don't want to make that sound too drastic, but
I'm playing the colorblind mode.
it essentially takes over your whole screen. Yeah.
I wonder what colorblind mode look like. Shit, 'cause I
I
don't
hear
want
you.
to look at all that red. If
taking-
I can look at like a magenta, I'm happy.
I'm taking forever to find it. There it is. I found it. All right. So choose Benson, send. Okay. So this is at its most like absolute extreme. And again, I haven't played. I haven't played it yet. I haven't tried it, but to me, like again, it's pure speculation. I would personally look, and again, I'm gonna try it first, of course. My gut reaction says I would prefer the classic way, but some players might not, and I understand like Ryan's or Node's logic to it about you can more clearly see your target in front of you. I agree with the logic, but I would just say like that's one of those things that like some players might like better and some players might like worse, and just it seems like something that sounds pretty easy enough to just flip a switch on. Like it's a player preference, right? Like I said in Fortnite and other things, you can change certain stuff around, right? Like you can change things based on preferences.
The only thing I care about is how does that look for what we watch.
And I was gonna ask that next. I was gonna ask that next.
You won't see it.
As a player, if you want to use it, go crazy. But again, all I really care
Is
about
it toggable?
I mean, I don't even care about that. I just care about.
But no, I do care about that because that means I gotta play a rank. I gotta see it all the time. I'm always red.
I'm gonna like.
Some people are always red.
Well, say like competitive players competitive players too. Keep in mind that competitive players spend a great portion of rounds red, right? Like literally, like Ken, you can test this. Like there's lancers on you at all times. That's which is cool. That's like why our game is awesome because like there's just all this cool action, team fire. Like the lancer's a great weapon. Like all these things. Like players spend a lot of their time red, right? If that makes sense.
I'm gonna call it now that may be the one thing that gets changed on whatever first major update that we have. I haven't even played the game.
And I'll once again remind the chat. This is all speculation on what is looking like the very first build of the game. So anything we are talking about could very well be changed in an instance. We are purely speculating. We are giving what we think might happen, what it might look like. It might not.
That's
so
one of those big ideas.
I want to give that disclaimer every like 20 minutes or so, just in case someone just tuned in, stuff like that.
They actually canceled Gears 5. You guys in here?
Yeah.
about it. Yep.
No, like so my opinion on that, like me, like I want to stick with what I've had, right? Like I'm stubborn. I don't want to change, right? Like I want what I'm used to, what I know. I see the idea in the inverse omen. I'm not gonna like shut it out because one of my biggest problems with the omen in Gears 4, and it's probably more just the damage of like the shotgun in Gears 4 and the way it works and how you're either getting chunked 4-pointed or they're not doing shit to you. Like I didn't like the way the omen looked there, so maybe with the inverse omen, I would see more of like, all right, you're actually like 20 or 30% based on how your screen looks, so you know that if they hit you with a good shot, you're definitely down. Because sometimes it looks like you're not hurt at all, and you got one shot down, but it'll say 100% too.
Yeah, I remember Vic was saying too. He's getting used to it, and he was talking about how like. He doesn't necessarily know when he's super red yet because he's getting used to it. And Note had said, too, they added different ways to make the user know when they're taking damage. Also, real quick, Byron, thank you so much for the sub. It was great to see you last weekend. Dancing in the Moonlight, 100%. All right, we're back.
Yeah, so that was like, I know from my experience with it that I wasn't turned away from it off of my one game. I would give it more of a chance because I could see where they're going with it.
Okay.
And it has the potential to be good, but it also has the potential for me to absolutely hate it and want to go back to the old.
That's one of those things that is pure feel, right? So like we talk about like
Yeah.
weapon trees and like placements and time. That's all like conceptual. That doesn't have like a feel to it, right? You have a feel when you're getting shot at, and you like that's in your visual in your eyeballs, right? So like that to me is why like I'm truly gonna give, I guess, less spec. Like so like it makes me nervous, but I'm gonna literally not think about it until I try it, like because you know it might feel better. I don't know.
So one of my things this is off topic from the Omen, but it's a part of like the HUD changes. Am I the only person that would rather Gears of War without the tagging? Like the actual
yes, I said a long time ago, I don't like marking. To me, that was like the first crutch I saw a long time ago. Was like the whole like that just takes some communication away now. It's because like you can literally like and you can tag through smoke and shit. Like so kids are just smashing the stick to get the targeting off, and like yeah, I'm not a fan of that because
you get a lucky tag, see the guys holding on a boom shot and like where their boom shot.
And I didn't like what I didn't like the most was, unless I'm crazy, when you tag someone you can like see some of their movement too. Like
yeah,
that's what I didn't like the most.
What happened to the whole communication of that he got boom and he's dropping back and is this character like?
That's not a thing.
Now it's about the mark. So now it's like that, the player type doesn't even the player type itself doesn't even matter that much. Now it's not gonna be like, oh boom, Swarm Grenadier has it, whatever. It's like no, Mark has it. Like the Mark has it. Shoot that Mark.
Are you upset that it's the entire outline of the player?
That was to me an addition to an existing problem. Like I didn't like marking in the first place, and then that got thrown in.
If you don't want to show the weapon that they're holding, I think that's a good argument.
As soon as they go behind a wall, you should not see them.
It shows the whole outline of them. Like
if you want to keep the marking system, you should. If they're not in your vision, if they're in a smoke, you can't mark them. If they are running out of your vision, you cannot. Your mark on that specific person goes away. You do not see them. You do not know where they went.
Or do you just reduce the time that they stay marked?
See,
you don't let them see it. Like you just if they run out, you don't see it.
Blaze, that helps to me. Like that does help, but I don't think it solves.
Yeah.
I don't think it solves it. But that is an issue that was put in way before TC.
But what's the big issue that it caused? Like marking
people through walls?
No.
I mean, that to me seems an issue. You see someone through a smoke grenade, also an issue.
But let's talk about everything before though. You know what I'm saying? Like all the secret mans, all the people. Like imagine Escalation without the marks. Like
yes, exactly. Yeah, I want to imagine that.
Me too.
That's more communication. That's more.
It's more. Wait for the word. Skill.
Yeah, I think to me it takes away from communication.
But also on a game that did not have a mini map either.
Yeah, because then you have to communicate.
It's third person. You already see more of everything than any other game. It's third person.
It requires people to not only be able to play the game, but also know how to work with teammates and tell them what they need to know. Like if I'm on Foundation and I'm running through B, and it's on second half, and I'm like, yeah, there's no one in cave. I see nobody in open, right? You say that, and like people don't even do that now.
The realest comparison to it is Gears 3 King of the Hill comp. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of Gears 3 King of the Hill comp of us playing that because we didn't have marks in Gears 3, right? Now we did.
Yeah, we did. That's where it started. That's why I said this is a thing that was added. TC did not come up with this. So no one get mad at TC. Like this is not on TC. Like this was an existing thing that got morphed, into what it is. But like that's they didn't create that. And to me, it makes communication sloppier. It makes communication less important. It makes it less specific. Like it just, and to me, like
execution, I would not want to have marks at all in execution.
It's the same concept to me. It doesn't change anything.
Or you have one life. I definitely don't want marks in there.
No, but like for the respawn and the pace that we were playing.
Don't you have less lives in Gears 5?
Than execution?
Than Gears 4.
That's the big
deal. No, you do.
Yeah.
Mathematically not impossible. You could spawn up 60 times
on a
PlayStation.
Because we talked about earlier about it being 55 on each, so I was doing 110.
The point I'm trying to make is, if you're saying you definitely don't want them in execution, I mean, the game just got a little closer to execution.
Yeah.
It did.
And it's also 5v5 though, but that was 4v4 execution. I mean, 4v4 execution versus 5v5 escalation, and saying that you don't want marks. I don't know.
Yeah, any aid to a player.
Did you have marking?
What Mathiasen just post is another thing that I cannot stand. When I'm hiding behind a corner and you cannot see my character, and when you're spectating, you could see the name of my character. Like you might as well give people a ghost cam like in Gears 3.
I think that's whack as fuck.
But how do you think
100%.
that's whack and not tagging people and seeing every movement they make and if they scratch their ass or not is like okay.
No, because first off, you tagged them and you know they're going to a certain area, like, and you know when you get tagged too. You know what I'm saying? As a player, you know when you get tagged, it's obvious. You know, the player makes the noise fucking for you.
Yeah,
the audio cues on them, which is a skill of its own, is on the audio cues.
You had marks.
Find that a skill? You think that's a skill?
All I said was
and
that
yeah,
the audio,
had marks, right?
all I said was that the audio cues was a skill of its own. That in Gears of War it is. The sounds that characters.
I mean, I don't think so.
But doing math isn't.
when I'm like staring at a Swarm character.
And Ben, I don't care if they remove the sound, so you know that as well. I'm not saying it's not skillful, but I'm saying I don't care if they remove the sound. They remove that shit too. Okay? It is what it is.
I don't think the auto cues are a skill. Like when I'm staring at a Swarm character on the other side of like mid ramp and he yells "Mark" like that, I don't think that's good. That doesn't like do anything. That's the only way you know.
It's not a big skill, but you can get intel off of it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean that's like the most you know is oh shit, they could see every single movement I do for the next 5 seconds. Like let me not do anything like this, or they know I'm doing this, and that's like the understanding of that. Like okay, I get that, but you shouldn't have to know that. You should be able to do what you want and not be marked and followed everywhere.
Always remember when we were not moving around the map. Always remember that. Always remember the days when we were camping behind walls.
No, I played on Blood Drive when people didn't even leave us.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying always remember that shit.
No, I don't forget it. But I don't think that's a reason enough to like make these things like things in the game. Like just because that was a thing at one point doesn't mean that marking people and these things that make it easier for everybody should be in the game. And I know Gears of War is already a difficult game, but like
I'm fine with some type of ping system. I do feel like players.
I'm not even mad at that. If you wanted a little bit of a ping system, that's not a big deal.
But I do feel like some type of ping system is necessary in a competitive play. Even if you're communicating with your teammates and you're able to ping that he's over here in this area, I'm okay with that. But like, I'm all about improving the communication and I'm all about improving teamwork. Especially
but you would need improved communication improved teamwork if you had to say where everybody was. You'd have to be more aware on the map of where people could be or where they are.
You can still say, hey, he's over here by this corner and still ping it without having or whatever call out your team has. If I say he's over here in this corner and I ping it, I'm okay with that and your team saying that he's over here.
So Blaze, you want,
especially in a 5v5 game.
So Blaze, do you want like the ping kind of like Apex and Fortnite have now, where like you freely, so your cursor, whatever let's call it, since we're like you freely can ping anything, and if it's an enemy, it comes up red. If it's not enemy, it comes up gray, or it comes up whatever. Like, is that the kind of world you want versus like? Because right now, like the way it works.
I would rather that than the outline of the player through the text.
Well, so what I will take that over is right now how marking works is, and Kenny, you know this, you just smash the shit out of the stick, hoping that it clicks someone, right? Like hoping that it just drags to someone because there's some sort of hitbox for it. There's some sort of like drag to it. We don't know quite what it is, but we know it's there, right? So like that's what I don't want. I don't want a situation where someone's just absolutely just beating the shit out of their stick in hopes of a mark, right? So to me, like your ping thing is to me okay, a little like a better meet in the middle, I guess, of that, to where you can still kind of you still have to, I guess, communicate like, hey, like look at pipes over there, and then your ping is there, but it's not as extreme as like, okay, now I can see you through all the smoke and you're doing everything in the world. I can watch your movement, where you're wall bouncing. I can see what up A you're taking. Like, so that's.
I'm all about like the biggest issue about me playing Gears at the highest competitive level than coming to any type of ranked or anything like that, especially after moving away from something as simple as execution. But even in execution, back in the day, sometimes it was still hard for people to run a decent strat that worked. You know what I'm saying? And I just think just improving teamwork as a whole for Gears to be played.
But you need to realize that that's on the players, not the game.
And I've played Gears for 12 years, and even from the casuals to the highest level, people are just they don't get it. They get lost for whatever reason. They don't get it.
And that's
because the game is complicated.
And that's why they put it in the game. So I'm all about at the highest level. talk about toggling this shit off, but even the casuals don't even play it. Like, people just need to know how to play Gears. Because the way they wanted us to play it behind cover ain't gonna work. Okay? Especially with 45 minutes maps, it ain't gonna work. All right? And so if you want us to move around and shoot it and speed up the pace, people need to understand how to do that shit.
That's it. We went from Gears 4 saying, hey, we need this pace slowed down because all we're doing is throwing 10 smokes at each other and hoping we can up A each other. Like, that's pretty much what we went from that to, like, we wanted to slow down. We want things to be slower. We want it to be more methodical. And I feel like they are trying to do that with Gears 5. It's just they also added in some of these gimmicky things in there.
And us having a respawn type game as well, even with the less lives, you know. I just think it all plays a part in just the pace and the flow in our community and how we grow, and it all does. And I've watched people for 12 years try to play this game, okay? And I've seen the best in which people can play it as, and I feel like even the mid-tier players can be so much, not even the mid-tier. I'm gonna go, I would say from Gears 3, Team 6 and below could have been so much better than what they were, okay? And actually, shit,
but that's on them.
If the game added all the fucking aids in the world, of course they'd be fucking better. But that's on them to want to be better. That's the point of competition. That's the point of competing.
But it's across.
I don't want to compete in something. No. If I'm playing League and you're telling me that the game's going to make me last hit every minion.
You're right that the players should be able to do that. You're right that the players should be able to, should be that smart. The players should be that creative to understand that they just can't just fucking sit back and they have to make plays for their team. And they have to be fucking leaders and alphas on the court. But they just don't. They don't have an idea.
But that's not for the game to aid.
Do we just like give that up? Like
there's no realm where I can honestly believe that that's what you believe.
I don't want another failed game. I don't personally.
I don't care.
But that's not on the game. But that's not.
Oh my god.
Blaze, your point is not on the game. Like, think if you go back to Gears 3 and you look at every player that has won, like since like you can go to the start of Gears 3. There's less than like 20 or 25 players in the span of however many events that have won. It's like less than 20 or 25 people.
It was in between 20.
And we're talking about like what is it, like 6 to 7 years. Okay? The reason those players won and the reason why other players aren't winning isn't because of the game, it is because of them and their like work ethic and like the way they think and all that stuff. But that's not the team or the game can't do anything to help people want to actually do the things that those 20 to 25 players do. And I think that's Benson's point. That's my point.
I think the best example is like Billy and them and went and won on fucking UE, and then they went over and won on this game. Two completely different games with completely different all kinds of shit going across the board. Two different game types, two different paces, two different everythings, and they won both. You know what? Because they're just really good. So like just to sort of piggyback on what Kenny's saying, like you can't with all these things you can't just put enough things into the game where it's gonna be like, oh well, they don't already do it, like we just force feed all this shit in there, like you know what, all those things that those guys get force feed, it's not like Gilbert's gonna get on his screen, right? Like
yeah, Kenny, I was fucking your very first teammate. You know how nerdy I get on this game. You know I understand you know what it takes to win and how to play this game at its highest competitive form, and you know we done put a lot of hours on this game casually and competitively. I'm saying that I feel like if Gears 5 don't succeed, shit, okay? You know,
no, I get it. Like that's why it's a double-edged sword. Like if I have a choice, like a competitive, if you're making the most competitive game possible, what we're saying is like what should apply. Like and that's and I know you agree with that.
Yeah.
But
here's
the way we're arguing is what's best for the game.
But
the game, like not like the viewer, not.
If this is your point, Escalation should change to where there's no weapon placement whatsoever, where there's one respawn, like that's it. It's a one respawn game mode, and it's first to fucking 6.
Hold on, start that from the beginning, because you gotta say it again. Say your point again, because I want to.
Your entire point, your entire mentality here of, oh well, the players, you know, we need the game to aid them. Then it should literally be one respawn. That's it. It's a one respawn game mode. First to 6 wins. Yes, because you want the game to be easy. If you want the game to grow, you just said you want the game to grow. You're worried that if this game doesn't work, then kapoof, that's it for Gears. The tough reality of the situation is the actual game itself needs to be easier to understand. That's it. Not let's give them this aid. So let's give them that aid. Let's help them here. Let's help them there.
How would the respawn timers be easier to understand for somebody?
Oh my god, because we're talking about how competitive a game is. You're trying to give people crutches.
No.
Yes, you are. No. That's what we've just had a discussion about for 30 minutes. That's why me, Kenny, and Ryan are all looking at you like you're fucking insane.
No. Ben, I just sat here and said I agree with you guys. That at the highest competitive level that you don't need that, okay?
Yes, the point
understand fully where I'm coming from.
Yeah, you don't want the game to fail. You want people to be able to play the game and it be easier so they keep playing the game. That's where you're coming from.
I'm at Gears, the 6th, 7th installment of Gears 5, okay? And people ain't gonna never learn this shit.
Okay?
Oh
my god, that's what you keep saying. And I'm telling you, it's on the players to want to learn that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm telling
you,
it's not
on the game to give you that.
I think the perfect...
I'm so emotionally scarred by how Gears has turned out at times where I'm all about it. Let's bring it on.
Let's go with this example real quick, because making this example shows it's only on players, because look at the Europeans. They were the entirety of season 1 a top 12, top 16 team. They started trying a bit harder, right? They started scrimming. They actually cared, and now they're considered a top 4 team at any event they walk into. Granted, have they looked sloppy? Yes, they look sloppy on Fridays and during pool play, whatever. But at the end of the day, the last 2 events of the season, you can go back even deeper into season 2. They've been a top 6, top 4 team, and they've cracked into the top 3, and even got second. They got second in Vegas. Like they're players that people we would see their names, and a lot of teams would be like, easy win. Like these
Remember, we have Epsilon. We have Epsilon in our pool. Yeah, like season 1, 100%.
Yeah, it's like free win. Like now you look at them, you see the Europeans, you're like, all right, I'm about to go to war because this is another top team, and that's from them putting in the work, putting in the effort, and they're in a weak region to where. Like they don't have a team or players that they can really practice against to give them good preparation against the top 3 NA teams, like Ghost does right now.
They don't have some good practice now, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. People, I know.
I hope that region grows.
Yeah, well, that's like. So my point there is, like, if players want it, they will get it. If teams want it, they will get it. And I'll tell you right now, 99% of players and teams do not want it, and that's like. That's why you're looking at Optic hoist the trophy every single event. Like Gilbert wants, they might not put in the most time, they might have not put in the most effort, but everybody else is not putting in a lot of time, and they're putting in a good enough amount of time to where they could sit on the game and they will always be better.
They're also just that's the thing. Right, and they're also just what? Billy's also just a freak, but let's just not forget they're also just crazy talented. Like let's not act like you can only win by working too. Like don't forget you also have to just be naturally good at shit. Like Power is one of those guys naturally just really good at this shit. Had the least experience, went to his first event, got second, right? So like there's times where people are just good at shit too. So like again, I'm agreeing with you, Kenny. Like I was saying, like it's not like so. Yeah, I mean, again, I guess my overarching everything on this, and I guess like I said, I'm excited about everything. A lot of great things. I guess my overarching concern just becomes like the complexity of everything, which again to me is a very big double-edged sword, right? Complexity adds depth, it adds things to the meta, it adds where a map can be truly different every single time, right? That situation's out there now, and you know what? Right now, like we've been running the UMG events, Kenny, like you've been playing in them, like now more than ever, and I don't even tell me it's the off season. Every fucking map, I'm teaching these 2 guys in my studio. I'm teaching Landon and Taylor about Gears and about the meta and about Escalation, about how it works. And I tell them, and we always joke about it now, like, all right, like, when's that boom coming down? Because, like, in 2019 Escalation, like, it's guaranteed. Guaranteed. And so, like, that it's looking to be less of those now, like, less of those kind of things. And so, like, I'm excited about that, but I also can't ignore the potential complexities and the potential putting things to the eyes of new people. And again, like, I agree even with part of what Blaze is saying, too, about not scaring the new players and not getting a situation where he picks the game up, he doesn't understand it, gets reaction shotted, and gets off. I don't want that either. So, like, there's a lot of, like, different variables at play right now, and I guess the thing that always shines through to me is before I think Black Ops 3, Vonderhaar in Call of Duty, who's like the guy at Treyarch, and Ben, you've probably met the guy a bunch of times. Seems like a good dude. A quote that he had that I liked the most was that if you build a truly balanced game, it will cater to both casuals and competitives. That was, and that, I'm sure there's little caveats there, and I'm sure there's little nuances about that, but the general overarching idea of good games find a way sort of thing, I guess. Like League is really complex, like you mentioned, but has more casual players than anything. Counter-Strike, very complex, has a ton of, in its own way, right? It has a whole economy, but it's like one of the most viewed games like ever, right? There's still 500,000 people every single major, every single tournament, every single everything. So like it's just a lot of variables at play right now. Yep. And maybe no one knows what the right answer is, right? Maybe it's a combination of all the shit we're thinking. Yeah, like maybe Escalation does need to be dumbed down a little bit more. Yes, maybe there needs to be a couple more things to help a casual player understand when he gets on for the first time. Like, yes, of course, players do need to work harder. Yes, very true, right? Like all these things are very much in play, and I think that are viable in their own way. But I mean, we're in an odd situation. Like we're a 12-year-old franchise at this point, right? There's the towing the line between innovation and what's the word? Innovation and I guess like holding your fan base home, right? Like Rod Ferguson on that podcast at IGN said, he has to mitigate basically like how much he betrays either side, right? Do you betray do you betray the side of innovation because you went too far or you didn't go far enough? But do you also betray your OGs because you either went too far away from what they love, or do you keep a stale game? Like there's all these different lines to toe. So
it is, and hey, I just I hope that we get a great game. I hope that everybody has hours of gameplay. I hope people get excited to hop on. I hope people want to stream, and I hope people's friends want to play our game, and everybody has an incredible time. And it is a double-edged sword on both sides of what's going to be great and what's not. I'm just, after being on Gear since the day it fucking came out, and I've seen those plays, and I've seen how teams played at the highest level, players adapting to all of that, and now I'm at the point where I'm just like, and we've been isolated as a community for so long. Like Gears has been separated by in so many different cliques, and it hurts us. I'm all about us being on one game and having all this intel presented. It's going to be an argument about what should be presented and not, and why it shouldn't be. But at the same time, I think that we're going to all have a fantastic experience on this game. We're going to have a better experience than Gears 4. I know that for a fucking fact. Okay? But I just hope it's enough. Because if not, hey, it is what it is, but I've seen us play like that shit, even when it comes down to just the timers and the basic stuff, we all felt like some changes needed to happen, and we got a group of people who's being innovative and taking the changes in a different direction now. Granted, we gave all our input, and we'll just see if it helps, or if it doesn't. We'll see if they can get Gears back to what we love and have their flair on it, or we'll see if it's just another Gears out there,
Yeah, I mean, of course,
shot really on the next level.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we all feel that way. Like I said, I think everyone in this call and everyone in the chat. I mean, it's Kenny's job to play Gears of War, right? Blaze, it's your job to talk about Gears of War, right? Like, what I'm saying? Like, there's everyone feels that way too, and yeah, like I said, I guess and don't forget,
we've been failing for years of not bringing us
and don't forget, this is very much the product is not today what will be played at the third event of season 1 or whatever the hell's going to happen, right? Like there's going to be an evolution of things that get physically changed in the games, an evolution of how people play things. Like that's always in play as well. So
I hope this conversation makes it
look
better.
At the first event from Gears 4, the last event in Gears 4. If that doesn't tell you something,
yeah. So it's a living, breathing product. Again, and you hear us getting all worked up and stuff about certain things because we all care desperately about this stuff. Like we
fuck up on the first
we love this shit. Yeah, like literally that's the basis of this show, right? We love this shit.
Here's the War 5. We cannot fuck up on the first impression. If not, we're gonna be like every other Gears of War game eventually, and things are gonna die off the same way if people can't put our game in for the first time, get it as a gift, play it because of the hype. Oh, everybody's talking about the timeline. Let me play it and get hooked and start having fun. If they can't do that, then what's the point? That's what we need.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what's the most important out of all of it. Is making sure people get on and have fun, man.
And never forget how hard it is to be a game dev too. Like we're one segment of the game that they're trying to make happy. Like let's not forget, we are the literal minority, especially in Gears. Like Horde has way more players. Like Horde mode has way more players. So they want to keep those guys happy, which they certain things with like tuning have to go into both sides. They want to make the campaign people happy. They want to make the traditional multiplayer people happy. They want to make the competitive multiplayer people happy. Like they also have a lot of variables at play too, and a lot of lines to toe. So just never. I guess I try my best to never forget about that side of things too, because at the end of the day, like, we're not game developers. Of course, we spend our lives on these games, and like I said, our input, I truly believe, is very, very helpful, and the community's input. That's why they do these things like the playtest. That's why they flew Kenny and Vic down there. They didn't want to just film shit for fun, right? I'm sure they sat down with them and talked a lot about, what do you guys think about this? What could be talked about? What could be changed? What do you like? What do you not like? Right? Like that. After this weekend, I'm sure they're gonna ask us too. Like, what do you guys like and not like? Like, so that's, again, just silver lining, I guess. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with having concerns, right? Like nothing wrong with Ben getting up and walking out when Blaze is going off on something, because you know what, like that's passion. That's like caring about shit, right? That's like, you know, like everything gets framed. If you say something that's not like, this is amazing, like, you get framed as like negative. Like no one's like bashing, or no one that wants to see the world burn down, right? It's like we have our opinions, and and everyone that said anything on this call so far has literally backed their opinion up with an explanation of why. No one's being a YouTube comment and say that shit trash and just stopping, right? Everyone's literally explaining why everything is the way they feel. So,
yo, guys' opinions, that shit trash.
Yeah, like, so if anyone at the coalition even is watching, like, you know, we love you guys. Like, we know this is because we love this shit. So, yeah, want to make sure I was just kind of include that stuff too, because you know, a lot of times people see things like this and just frame it as like, oh my god, like, look at them bashing. Like, no, like, everyone has backed their opinion up with why they feel that way, and maybe they're right, maybe they're not. Like, that's okay. It's part of how the world works. And my Gandhi rant is over.
Hey, you did great. Let's go to E-League predictions.
Yes, let's move on.
Because like, every time I come on this show, I'm here for 2 hours, and like, I'm over here like, fuck.
Because that's a damn good show.
This is our longest one. Yeah, this one's been like, and what's one thing that's interesting. Usually when shows go too long, viewership goes down over time. Viewership has gone up over time the longer we go, which is like an inverse of what usually happens. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, guys. Hopefully you guys like this. And but yeah, E-League, we're a few days away now. I know everyone flies in soon. What do we think's gonna happen? Who's all right, let's I'll be that guy. Who's getting second?
Optic Gaming.
Wait, who? They don't have a team anymore. Do you mean Immortals, or do you mean a group of 5 who don't have
a group of 5 a group of 5 teenagers with attitude who looking to fuck everybody up. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm kidding, by the way. I hope it's very competitive, and I would actually be cool if someone else won. But you know, had to make that joke.
Yeah. I didn't even hear your joke.
I mean,
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder, like, right? Like, does this situation benefit them or hurt them, right? Like you know, like,
So normally when new games come out, right, and obviously Kenny mentioned it, it's massively different. But the reality of the situation is they're just really fucking good at video games. They hit shots. They hit shots. Really
right.
Good.
So the
reality of the situation is they're basically playing a beta, right? Let's be honest. They're probably going to pick up the game and learn it quicker than everybody else, and they're not going to miss like other people might.
Yeah, so to me, like, in these situations, there's so much less coordination, so much less like obviously, like, they have a system going, right? Like, obviously Gilbert's the best IGL. They have all these things that in Gears 4 make them so powerful. What's funny is, like, they're just as equally powerful on the other end too, because like even when those things aren't in play, they have like 5 of like the most skilled players across the board as well.
Those
so like
in the top 5, top 10.
Right. So like even if you go to like let's screw teamwork, we're gonna go 1-for-1 in fights. Like, all right, no team of 5 is outskilling that team, right? So it's like that's what makes them scary. So yeah, I mean.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. They are so talented on a skill board.
So it's like, it's just
they're gonna be so fucking hard to beat.
It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
But I don't. You know what? I don't think that. Hopefully, when a game starts off, that players first off get new game confidence, because that's gonna be huge. Okay, because they got the Torres getting some confidence late in Gears 4. Even if you tell your team like, yeah, we're gonna beat Optic, y'all know y'all really not. So, like, I just hope that, having that new game confidence would do good for people. But even on a mechanic end, I think that older players, I feel like some teams will benefit having good leaders on their team, the game being slowed down, and having just a little bit more strategy involved, that it would be more of an even playing field rather than getting a world start every 2 seconds by anyone on their whole team.
Hot take / bias take. I would be shocked if Fran isn't in the finals. Just because
his coach, even the coach on all the teams that he played on, I 100% see them up there just because like their play style and how he's tried to beat Optic Gaming over the last 2 seasons is going to work out in his favor.
I'm not talking about that. Fran just picked shit up fast. Kenny, we were the best when UE came out, right? We were when Gears 4 came out, things were between Envy and Optic were way closer, right, than they were towards the end of the season, right? So like Fran picks up games really well in the beginning, and obviously he's one of the smartest players to ever play Gears. So like I just think that I would be shocked.
I think his intelligence will keep him up there. But also their teamwork was there. But honestly, I had Kenny's team in the top 3. My top 3 when I had said it was when somebody had asked me was Ghost, Optic, and Kenny's team was my top 3. And I
do you not think that like obviously you guys talking about Fran, like the way Fran tried to beat Optic Gaming on pretty much every team, and Ryan, you can attest to this, Kenny, so can you. It was almost like he wanted to slow the game down. That's how it felt, right? Like you have 5 cracked out kids basically flying at you. You want to slow the game down.
Yeah.
Well, from everything Kenny just said, it sounds like the game is way slower now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna help his team 100%.
Yeah, no, it is, and I may change my prediction to like having Ghost out and then and having Fran's team in, but like only because I'm shocked. Well, I'm gonna be curious to see how fast Ghost picks up a new game, because typically with those LATAM players, they look at American players and see how they're playing, right? And they kind of do it from that standpoint, and they grow over time.
What happened last year?
Well, let's say that it's like let's equate it to execution more. Okay, like let's look at UE, right? Like obviously, like the Optic, where the hell they were called back then, got the better of us over the grand scheme of things, but it was a hell of a lot closer than even Gears 4 was. Kenny, we choked our fucking lives away at ESL season 1, right?
Yeah,
and then we choked our lives even harder away at Columbus against them, right? So like those,
I was on the other side of
that. Right. So I'm saying like, so those events very well could have gone in our favor, right? Which would have changed probably the landscape of a lot of things. But either way, like, so even when things are dumbed down, things get even closer in that sense for that matchup of like we'll call it Fran versus Optic for what it's worth. But like that matchup to me closes that gap even more. If that's if we're truly equating to execution, it might not play like that at all, and that could be out the window.
What was the difference between UE to Gears 4? Like,
everything.
No. What I mean is like, who was the quickest players to pick up the game? Like, what were the regions doing? Like the LATAM region, if I remember, they were not hot off the rip.
No, they were fine.
Pretty piss poor, right?
So the reason for that is because like those regions, like the Latin American region and the European region and every other region besides NA wasn't really competing on Gears. They didn't have like we had the Hypa Station events where you want to call them locals, regionals, whatever.
Sure.
NA people had that, and we were still playing just based off of those.
Okay.
And even in UE, like we had the ESL season 1 and season 2, there was no Latin American team, there was no European team. They were not playing, so they were bound to have a very slow start because we had an advantage. We had a huge advantage.
And the way the league was set up, only like 8 teams or whatever were in the pro league. Like you had to qualify online, and if you didn't make it, it was like you had nothing to play for. They had this little like contenders kind of thing, but no one played it.
Do you think they start off quicker, Kid?
It had nothing.
Do you think they start off quicker, or do they take them a while to get started?
LATAM will. I think Europe will still have the number 1 team, whatever they're calling it, EU's finest. I think they'll still be right up there. I think the rest of the region is going to struggle a lot still.
So
it's an attitude difference to me. It's an attitude difference.
A lot of teams.
That's why I think you gonna struggle.
A lot of teams and a lot of players have not been playing. Like they've like this is the definition of an off season. People have gotten on and dabbled with some ranked, like let me back A someone real quick.
But
hey, I tried. I gave you guys weekly tournaments.
And people will only get on for that weekly tournament, right? So I think I don't know what to expect from E-League. My team can go there and be the best team. Glory could show up and they're just showing everybody. And that's it. So it's like you don't know what to expect. If I'm making a prediction, I would not be surprised if Ghost or the Europeans win the event. I actually think like if I was making a prediction going into it, I think the Europeans win the event. They had the best teamwork in Gears 4, like the best like fundamental teamwork in Gears 4.
I was gonna say I give you another hot take on that. Yep.
And they have the best fundamental teamwork that'll transfer to other Gears games. And I don't know how much they've been playing, but if their teamwork transfers over,
Kenny, they didn't play when there was $1 million on the line. Yeah, they've been playing when I don't think they've been playing.
Look, I'm just saying.
Kenny said something important. They always play bitch, right? So what I used to always criticize them on their weapon placements, but The maps is going to be light and more off fundamental Gears gameplay. And their fundamental Gears gameplay is strong. It really is, especially when it's not like a lot of crazy weapons on the map. That's how that whole region practice.
If you think their fundamentals are better than the 5X Optic Gaming fundamentals?
I think.
Yeah,
I think,
hold on. What makes? Hold on.
Yeah,
No.
so you go, Kenny. I'll let you take.
So their skill, right? Their skill in a Gears 4 style game is that it's the whole reason why they didn't win an event. Like no matter what they did at the end of the day, Optic will always, Billy will always clutch up and get a 2-piece. Gilbert will up it. Like that's how they will always lose. And in the game that we are seeing coming up next, they have a chance because their style of play, I think, is going to be stronger, or it's going to have the opportunity to be strong.
Yeah.
So when I look at like Optic, like as a whole, even in UE, in 3, and in 4, the title that me and Gilbert used to call it was Controlled Chaos. They were always the best in Controlled Chaos. If Gears of War 5 plays where it's not as much chaos and it's just a slower game, Optic is going to have to find or go to the other style of play, which they can 100% do and win the event.
But that is also more in. Well. There's a lot of people who do that so good.
It's more in the Europeans' favor because that is how they've played for the last, year plus as a team. And now am I saying like?
I'm surprised you said the Europeans.
But
I got double eliminated by him last event. Yeah. Like believe me, I know I've gotten hit from everywhere by then.
That's the last event of the year.
Like, but they Wolfpack game.
Their
work slow game.
Yeah.
Their work ethic is trash.
But that's the thing. Like that's why I was saying anything can happen.
Exactly. Which is why I don't think they'll ever win. That's why. That's the reason I don't think they will ever win any event they ever go to ever. Period.
They can choke in. They can. But I was gonna say they can choke in the finals, but they've been to the finals as a squad. So.
Yeah, they should have won that event. That was the event I thought they were going to win, and then they didn't, and I was pissed.
They played Ghost 3 times and lost 3 times.
Your work ethic is that bad, you're never going to win anything.
But that came down to, yeah.
But right now, everybody's work ethic has been bad. Not one player or team. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going to predict maybe that, but like right now, like I don't know who the fuck's gonna win this event. Like let's be realistic here. If I'm putting my money, like I'm a betting man and I'm not putting my money, like yeah, bro, let me go put 100 on Gilbert real quick. Like I'm not putting it on anyone else because why would you choose anybody else? But if someone was gonna take him down, it's not gonna be a North American.
Wait, Ryan, who you putting your money on? You've been quiet.
I mean, like I said, I think that Optic should win. Nothing historically says otherwise. I mean, what like no. As mentioned earlier, they've won in new titles. They've won in different mechanics, different pacing, different that. Like I said, I'm gonna put Fran second. He picks up games fast. I'm looking for leadership there. After that,
the rest of the people on this team. Because Icy was known in UE picked the game up slow. And 4,
UE was drastically different, and I thought Icy was pretty. I thought Icy was pretty good in Gears 4. I thought he was on a pretty bad team, but I thought like compared to him, they got second in the event. They're on a bad team. Sorry, that's not the right word, but I don't think his team was the right one.
But even going past Icy, like Icy's not even my biggest concern. How does Rushcheese play on this style of game? How does Sleepy play on this style of game? How does Rezik play on this style of game?
I think that benefits Rezik. I think it benefits Rezik and Sleepy. They're not as fast as others, and so we're talking about slowing it down. Rezik and Sleepy are they can move, but so can everyone. They're not fast. Icy was better in an environment. He was even better in Gears 3 probably, where he didn't have to move like a psycho. He's pissed every day that he has to move, that he can't hold a shot, he can't chunks, like he can't LT someone, right? Like he prefers that environment. So again, like I'm basing mine off of like leadership and the ability to pick up games. Don't get me wrong. They also he more grand finals across more titles than anyone anyways, so like there's that. But like
I think Fran's stock, like with the way this game is going, he's gonna go from like, his stock's already kind of high. His stock just went higher with this next game. Like he is going to be on a key piece. Like if there's a team that beats like Optic or wins multiple events going through the first season of whatever we're getting, like it's probably.
Dude, we got second. We got second at the fucking Invitational without praised. All right, Dunzo.
Who did you trade praised for? Real quick.
A kid who hadn't competed in months.
No,
over a year.
Who did you trade him for? And like, who did you trade him for?
We used Brian.
Yeah, you traded him for Solars. Like you traded him a top 5 player for another top 5 player.
Doesn't matter.
You can make the argument that Solars is better than Praise in this game.
Brian and I competed over a year.
Is a freak. He's pretty close to Billy, where if he just steps on Gears of War, he's a walking 20 to 30 kills.
Okay.
I'm letting y'all know this right now. You say what you gotta say, Kane. Finish your point.
Did it without praise.
That was just it.
That was
Like
it?
I don't.
That was a drop the mic moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, like I don't know how to say this now. Like, okay, like the next two people that we like. Again, this is gonna horribly like two of my best friends, but like, okay, like Jordan and Kevin were not that good in the beginning of the game.
I disagree.
Here's the thing about.
I did. Soto went to the next event and was on a team that got what, third, fourth, yeah, whatever. No, they got third.
It was third. Yeah, it was third.
Yeah.
They got third.
You remember?
What about Jordan?
Both of those players.
Jordan's on the team that got second.
Both of their roles got shitted on a lot in Gears 4 between the two of them. But I just want to say this quickly that because Kenny said about Fran and his stock going up, a lot of veteran players' stocks are going up when this game drops, okay? Because a lot of teams is gonna need that and need that understanding of play. And I think that some people, so some people's stocks are gonna go up.
Can I hit you with a hot take, guy?
Yeah, hit me with a hot take.
I don't think they will. And here's why. Wait, here's why. Everyone is expecting the game to go super slow, right? That's what Kenny's saying. That's what, we've been talking about. The game slows down. The pace is going to be this. It's going to be that. It's going to be
I would say it's going to be slower. I wouldn't say super slow.
Here's how Up to Gaming win. They're just going to fly at you.
But no.
So I said
all right. So you don't think it's going to work? But also Here's the problem. Try telling that to the 5 players on Up to Gaming.
Well, Ben, I think like 3 episodes ago I said this. So we talked about this, I think, with Jacob. So right now there is, like I mentioned earlier, there is no strategy. No one knows the maps. They'll have limited time on it. No one knows shit, right? So what's gonna work? Fucking flying and wolf packing. Let's go 5 hit that spot, baby. Why not? Like, and you know what? Like, and who's the best? Who's the best in that situation?
I think over time, smarts will prevail.
I agree with that. No.
It's not the first event. Over time, the smarter players, not even so much that the game is slower, but just more intelligent players in pressure situations are going to be more beneficial. Like, I think fucking, I think Jerpy's gonna win.
I mean, Jeff's got anything. Like, I was just playing Gears 4 with him before we got on. He hasn't played. He's probably popping back a beer, and he's still dropping 40 kills. Like,
Budweiser.
Jerpy's about to win an event. I hope this Tommy comes back because he's gonna be a hot pick.
But here's the thing. Like I said before, I'm a betting man. I'm putting it on Optic, right? Like, I'm playing at the event. I'm being as non-biased as possible, right?
I just gotta do it for everybody.
When you look at the event, they have not played as much, so it's the best chance. Like, right now, this next event is the best chance for somebody to win, because more than likely you give Gilbert, like I was there with Gilbert when he's looking at Gears of War. I'm listening to him on a daily basis. When he sits on Gears, he's one of the smartest people that have touched Gears, and you can't take that away from him. Fran goes in that same category. So when you give Gilbert time and he's playing the game for however long, he's gonna figure shit out. So this is probably someone's best chance to beat them, unless people's stocks go higher and they just everybody just gets better. But
I think we all agree with that.
Now, I'm putting my money on them. So that's the clear point. Like,
I know.
I'm putting my bank account on you, Ken.
Oh shit. Well,
I don't have. I love Kenny. Kenny's in the call. I don't have a ton of high hopes for that team this weekend. I'll be honest.
I do.
Mostly because and again, I've been the biggest fan of him and this progression stuff. Like, Jake hasn't played a tournament. He's playing the UMG ones with us, but like Jake's been out of the mix for quite some time, and like he's still learning like the fast mechanics of the game again, and like the gear, how to play the game the way it needs to be played against top competition. So like that's my kind of backing towards that opinion. Nothing really else. I think after that the sky's the limit for him, but I still think he's not. I mean, you can't just expect like this little off season to like be what's going to propel him to go be in a grand finals.
Question mark going into the event, and he can hit shots. Like you
sure,
put him on Gears 4, he can aim and shoot. That hasn't gone anywhere, right? But
what's his biggest strength now?
It's his biggest strength is hitting shots. That's about it. Like that's his
weakness.
It's everything team wise. He hasn't gotten a chance to
rotating.
Yeah, exactly. But his brain, his thinking brain, like when I teamed with him, like back on, like this is back in Gears 3, like when he called a lot of strats, he's a thinker, right? So when he's on Gears 4, you hear his brain going. Where he's playing wagers, and I'm listening to him talk about running whatever kind of strat and running whatever kind of rotation and seeing whatever certain thing. He's probably 50-50 on being right and wrong, but he's thinking. So on a game where people don't have everything figured out, he's sitting down the game. He can hit shots. I've seen him hit kill, or get multiple 2 pieces and 3 pieces already. Like, his skill is there, the brains and like what he should do aren't as there as everyone else. So if everybody else is slowing down or everyone else is on the same page as him, like the same level, he has a shot to actually go off. And Jake on land always gets better. Like everyone knows that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
In a new game, it's gonna benefit
so he's the biggest question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes down to
that's about it.
To that, into day one. So
that's my team.
So important.
All right, so like I said, if we all had to put money, if we all had to put the money up, I think so. Who had someone had Europeans? Kenny had Europeans.
I said if we're not going with the generic optic answer, I think the European.
Okay, let's do that then. Yeah, let's take out the easy one. Let's have the easy answer. So okay, I took Rec.
I took Kenny's team.
Ben.
Oh, I feel like this could be like a deciding vote. I'll probably. You know what?
No one's talking about Rise at all.
I might fuck. Nah, they ain't doing shit. I'm gonna put my money on Rec just because of Fran.
All right.
I'll put my money on.
It wouldn't surprise me, like crazy hot take if Up to Gaming wasn't in the final. Like if the game is as drastically different.
Well, we also hold on. We don't.
This is drastically different as
we don't know the format either. We don't know the format either. So like seeding. Think about seeding. Like what if right, let's say single eliminate. What if like it's like OG versus Ghost or something round one, and like Ghost can also fight pretty good up close too. So like that could be a thing too. But we can't really talk about that until we know what it is, right? So, but I think that we've been at it for like 2.5 hours now. This has been long. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I've enjoyed it. This has been great conversation. Thank you all three of you guys for coming. Kenny, thanks for coming last minute. Your insight was very, very, very valuable as you've put your hands on it. You get to clarify a lot of the gaps that I know I missed out on. And so again, thank you so much for that. And Ben, thank you for your debut on the Caster Curse. Hope you enjoyed your time. I know it won't be the last time. And then Blaze, of course, you've been on a bunch of times yourself. So I'll give you guys at least just a couple seconds to kind of any closing thoughts. Kenny, you can go first.
Make sure you guys tune into E-League this weekend. I was not ready for that. You threw that to me. I was not ready. Make sure you turn to E-League this weekend. Hopefully we'll be hitting shots.
Man, I gotta remember when I leave because I gotta get my hair done and shit.
Ben, let you go next.
Most of what Guy said today was completely incorrect, but I still love him. I still respect him, but I disagree massively. But let's pray the game is good. Fingers crossed.
All right, Blaze, follow that up.
As we know that Vincent is the logical one out of our duo, and I am the emotional leader, and I am the very optimistic one of them all. And Vincent told very few lies today, but I will say that I am hoping that we all have a fantastic experience. Because check this out, y'all. This is the first time anybody gets to see Gears 5 at all. Now, we're going to have a lot of opinions. A lot of people are going to hit the Twitter waves. And what people need to understand is that what you say on Twitter, the way the algorithm works, and with our people being verified, like people from 5 different esports sees y'all tweets if y'all don't even follow them sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Especially on some of the bigger topics as well. So it's gonna be just be use your words wisely, because the first impressions are everything. Understand critique versus complaining, and because that is gonna be so huge this weekend and going forward. And I just want us to have the best first impression on new viewers and people, and because I want everybody playing this game and have a great time like we are. That's all we want. We want a great gaming experience, and we want to feel young again, and we want new people playing. And we don't want to have to go to a different game to play it competitively. We want to be able to have our dreams here and be a part of this community, man. And that's what it's all about. You can jump ship and go somewhere else, or you can clean up the bullshit here in your own castle. You know what I'm saying? Choose how you want to be. So,
very well said, Blaze. Yeah.
You guys.
Just to agree with everything you said, man. Like I said, I'll continue to say it, but said it periodically. Everything we've said today is been pure passion, speculation, concern, joy, everything involved because we love this shit. We want it to be the best it can be. Like Blaze said, I never want you guys to think that if we don't just agree with something that's in the game that we're bashing or we're negative. We're just giving our thoughts. A lot of us have a lot of years of experience doing this stuff, and like I said, we all want it to succeed more than anyone in the world. So guys, thank you so much for all the viewers, everyone that stopped by, the new subscribers, all the new followers. You guys have been awesome. We broke the 500 follower mark. That's a huge deal for me just because I'm kind of new to this whole streaming thing. So thank you so much for that. Can't wait till we hit 1,000. And if you're on YouTube and you made it this far, I always say this: you're a true real one here. You're really a real one this time. This is gonna be a long ass episode. So if you're on YouTube, yeah, thank you so much. And like I said, guys, we have a super exciting week ahead of us. Obviously, we're gonna have E-League this weekend. Make sure you tune into that. We will do our best to get you guys a Caster's Curse episode right after this. Maybe we'll get the same group in here and we'll do like a recap. Obviously, we did predictions together. Maybe we'll do a little recap together. Talk about what was right, what was wrong, who was cooked, who wasn't cooked. That'll be a fun one as well.
Yeah,
but
I was thinking about doing a hot seat post E-League again.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of having some new stuff to talk about with the players and everything after the tech test. So
content season.
Yeah,
That's all we.
Season is coming up.
Yep. So keep on the lookout for new stuff from everyone involved.
Anybody who I saw, I'm gonna do this and that, and they ain't did it. Even roast me too.
Definitely.
Y'all tweet me every day. Say, what's going on?
Definitely. Well, guys,
Why you not live?
appreciate you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. This does it for episode 9. We will see you next week for episode 10.